25 NFL draft, super exciting time for my staff, Chiefs Kingdom, and again, really look forward to this next few days. I want to start off by thanking my scouting staff. They do a tremendous job, our coaching staff, all the people in the building that help us through this process. There's a ton of work that goes into this, and again, we're super excited. And with that, I'll take your questions.
We'll go ahead and start with Adam Teicher.
Brett, how are you doing today?
Good, Adam. How you doing?
Good. Wanted to ask you about 3 of the free agents you signed and what you liked about them, how you see them fitting in, that kind of thing. And those would be Elijah Mitchell, Christian Fulton, and Jalen Moore. And Sid, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, sure. Adam, every free agency process, I think the goal and the objective is always the same, yet how you go about it is always different. And the goal and the objective is always to position yourself and your team so that when you get to the draft, you can unlock the full potential of your board and not have to be stressed out and take the best player available. And now how you go about that is different every year, right? I mean, depending on your cash and cap and what players are available and how many players you're losing and what have you. So it's a unique challenge every year. And I think, though, over the years, one thing that we've shown is we're going to put a high priority on offensive line, defense line. And you start off with Jalen Moore. I don't think it's a secret. We want to get some stability there at the left tackle position. He's a guy that I think the only downside was just the lack of starts during his career. Now, when you consider the fact that he played behind a first ballot Hall of Fame player in Trent Williams, you can see why. But he's athletic. He's a smart kid. And, we did a lot of work on him during the pre-draft process years ago. Always had taken a liking to the kid. Thought he had a game that translates. And credit to him that when he had a chance to go out there and log 6-7 starts last year, he did a really good job. Now the next step is maintaining that level of play throughout the course and the duration of a season. But again, we're super excited to add him and hopefully provide some stability to that left side of the line. Said over the last few months, I think that we've done a really good job. Obviously, our interior has been strong the last few years. We did lose Joe, and that late season move with Kingsley late in season, his start in Denver was promising, and so we think we have some flexibility there with those guys. But again, I think the ongoing effort and pursuit to just get more consistent play on that left side was important to us, and I don't think that process will stop. We'll continue in the draft to address the offensive line. And then on the defensive side, losing LJ last year and Jalen Watson was having a really good year. He got hurt. Nazi got hurt last year. We had some guys get banged up. The way Steve does things on that back end requires a lot of depth there. You can never have enough good corners. Christian was a guy that we liked coming out as well. And in fact, I think it was a COVID year. He was right there, and I think he went a few picks before we ended up, I think, selecting Willie Gay. But a guy we did a lot of work on and liked him. And then Elijah Mitchell, maybe listen, we're going to the well again. We had a good experience a few years back when we had done a lot of work on Jerick McKinnon, and he was a guy that had a great career in Minnesota, went to the Niners and just couldn't get healthy, couldn't get right, was always banged up. And we're like, this kid's still young, and although he's battled a lot of injuries, we've always liked the tape. We've always liked the person. Great kid. Similar skill set in a sense. He's explosive. He has great hands. And I'm sure you even heard Kyle Shanahan talk about when he's healthy, how good he is. And I think it's no secret with him that he's got to stay healthy. And so, again, I think probably the success we had with McKinnon gave us some confidence to try it again. And he'll have to get through training camp and get through a season healthy. But our trainers like what they saw in regards to his rehab from his injury last season. And so hopefully we can get him on the field, keep him on the field, because I think when he's healthy, he provides an explosive dynamic in both the run and pass game.
Okay. And you kind of touched on this a minute ago, but I wanted to ask you also, your goal kind of going into every draft is to not have obvious needs like you mentioned earlier. Where do you feel the roster is right now? Understanding you have 8 draft picks coming up, plus whatever's left in free agency?
Yeah, I think there's always, of course, room for improvement. I think that just from 1,000-foot view, I mean, it's probably safe to say, and you guys know, I always give you probably too much information on these Zooms, but I mean, O-line, D-line, and corner. I mean, I think the draft has some numbers. I mean, the O-line numbers are probably down a tick, but I think everyone has talked about the depth in the draft at the defensive line position, in particular defensive end. And then I think corner does have some sneaky depth there in the middle of the draft class. Maybe not as many high end guys, but I think in years past, but I think there is some value there, and the level of drop off I think holds from 2 to 3 to even into the early parts of 4. So, I think that would be a logical landing spot for us early in the draft. But I think we're always in the mindset too to add players that we have graded as impact players, and certainly wouldn't shy away from continuing to add to our receiver room as well. So I do think that, again, you can't accomplish everything exactly you want to in free agency just because you don't have an endless amount of resources. But I do think we put ourselves in a position so that, if we're sitting there at 31, we certainly have a need for O-line, D-line, corner, receiver. So all options are open, and I guess we'll see how it kind of shakes out.
Okay, great. And hey, you never give too much information on these things, so
No, I
don't
know,
worry
right?
about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Sid, I'll have a quick second question if I could. Brett, I was just wondering about Trey Smith, where that stands, your comfort level, if he needs to play on the tag, and optimism level for potentially getting something done by that deadline.
Yeah, hopefully we get that done. I mean, there's no lack of interest or will or desire on our end. And we did have, Pete, a ton of talk with Tori and Jimmy, his agents at the combine. Those conversations continued on to the owners' meetings. And so now also CAA has a ton of draft prospects, and they have a ton going on. So, we've exchanged multiple phone calls, multiple emails. And, my guess is once the draft's over and our focus is back on taking care of the players that are here and trying to get those guys locked up, and CAA on their end. I mean, they have, again, they're one of the leading agencies in regards to the players they produce every year. So I'm sure once things settles down on both ends, we'll be in a position to continue this dialogue and hopefully make some progress there. But there's no secret there. We'd like to get Trey locked up.
And then just a quick one on the draft. You're always forward about potential round 1 grades that you guys have. So I was wondering about that. And then also something that you always mention each year is the hot zone. So just number of round 1 grades, if you're willing to share that, and then where you kind of foresee the value in this one.
Yeah, Pete, I think it's probably a tick down. I think typically in years past, that number's been anywhere from 15 to 18, even 19. I think the last I checked, it was right around 12 or 13. So it is lower, although I will say this, in that secondary wave of guys that, are in the late round, high 2 consideration, that number's probably a little higher. So hopefully that provides a little bit more flexibility on both ends. So I think that top end number is just a tick down from years past. And I think we've have a pretty consistent game plan year in and year out. And if one of those guys, however unlikely it is, that we have in that 12 or 13 or 14 number range, if they were to fall into a reasonable landing spot, I'm sure we would make some calls. And typically it's unlikely to happen, but we all know a few years ago it did happen with Trent McDuffie, and we were able to do that. So that will be kind of our mindset again, and we'll see if it works out. I don't think it'd make too much sense for us to we need all these picks, and we need to add depth on multiple fronts and the secondaries and receivers. So trading multiple picks to just get one piece doesn't really make sense. But I think if a guy we really like does fall into the 20s and it's reasonable, I think we'll be aggressive. Otherwise, I think we'll be happy with adding players at each round and multiple players in 3.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell.
Hey, Brett. I'll have a couple things as well. Wanted to ask you about left tackle. You talked about Jalen Moore, but is that still a position that you would could foresee addressing in this draft?
Yeah, I think O-line and D-line is always going to be at the forefront of where we are in regards to roster composition. And again, we're really excited about Jalen Moore and what he can bring to the table. Again, small sample size, but it's been really good, and we're excited to work with him. But it's a long season, and Jalen's under a 2-year contract, so and Juwan's getting toward the tail end of his contract too. So you always have to have one eye on the future, and one eye on the present, and one eye on the future. So I think that obviously any chance that you have to draft a guy that you can project to be a starting left tackle, you do that, and they're really hard to come by. I mean, it's not one of those things that, look, you can hit on any position throughout the course of the draft, but consistently those slam dunk franchise tackles they're typically top 15, top 20 picks. So if one does slide, or if you're able to get one, even in later rounds, that you think has a higher upside than some of those prospects in past years, you don't ever shy away from that position.
And then secondly, I wanted to ask you about, this is like 3 times in 4 years where you've lost somebody in the front office of the draft. Formula, I guess, changes for you. The process changes for you. Obviously, the first one you've done without Mike. What's the process like year to year whenever you do have guys that are pretty influential in the room that you go without?
It's funny because I just joked about that the other day with Ryan being in Chicago and Brant Tillis in Carolina, and now Mike in Tennessee. I think that as the years go on and I keep losing key members of our personnel staff, the time period when we shut down meetings is getting pushed back sooner and sooner, because we're all such good friends and we talk a lot that I joke with the guys that pretty soon it's just going to be me here by myself in a room, because we talk to each other so much all the time that I'm worried about all of us having the exact same draft boards and all of our stuff getting out there. But it's a unique dynamic, but certainly happy and excited for the work those guys have done and the jobs they've done. I think each individual has done great jobs in regards to what Poles has done and what Brand has done early on, and I think Mike's going to do a slam dunk job there. So I'm excited for all those guys. It is different, fortunately, that we do a great job, and it's no different than putting a roster together of players. I mean, you have to have a roster of personnel members, but the guys like Chris Shea and Mike Bradway and Tim Terry and Ryan Nutt, and then have a really strong group of young scouts that are working their way up too, and kind of like that mentality when one player gets injured or moves on, the next one steps up, and we've had a really good group to work with, and they've all stepped up and done a tremendous job.
Thanks, Brett.
Let's go next to Jesse Noel.
Hey, Brett, I know things are going to change and things happen that you don't expect in the draft, but with your first round pick in particular, what is the likelihood that you guys might look at trading back with that particular pick?
Yeah, I certainly have a tendency to be on the aggressive side and move up. Although it's interesting, as I just mentioned to Pete before, the numbers are a little bit down in regards to that top end, usually being 15 to 17. They're more from in that 12 to 14 range. So, and then as I mentioned, Jesse, the secondary stack is a little bit bigger. So I think that there is probably, just from a sure number standpoint, more of a likelihood that could happen when you have, again, on the front end, the numbers, meaning 7.5 or higher on our grading system being low, but then that next 7.0 to 6.5 grading system, the numbers being higher. I think that from that standpoint, I think that could be in our wheelhouse, and it might make sense to us. So we'll have to see. I think there's always, or at least it worked out that way in the last few years, been one guy. Worthy was one of those guys last year, but we'll see. But I know that I've shown to be more aggressive, but I'm certainly open to it. And if it makes sense for us and we can acquire additional picks, I'd be all for it.
We'll go next to Nick Jacobs.
And Sydney, I'll have a follow-up if I can, please. Brett, my first question for you, with NIL and transfer portal, how much has that impacted you guys from a talent pool perspective? And are there any other ways it's impacted you that you haven't foreseen?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think we kind of start to see a shift in the dynamics with the draft during the COVID period, when players got an additional year. And now with the NIL, it certainly impacts the later rounds. There's a lot of motivation and incentive for players to just stay in college, and a lot of these players may end up doing better staying an extra year as opposed to maybe getting drafted late and getting cut or what have you, and not making it. So it certainly impacts us from a number standpoint late in the draft, and then the numbers that we do have to work with late in the draft. We're dealing with players that are a little bit older now. In fact, every year, when we go through our process and we put a prospect on the board, we'll start with the combine works. This is our third wave of film, or that last wave of film. We'll go back, and if it's the third or fourth time watching a prospect, we'll do the combine, but we always put up, his age, birth date, how old he'll be on day one of the season. And it seems like every year, you're dipping into the 24, 25-year-old rookies. And we have multiple players on our team that would still be young in this draft class, whether that be a George or a Felix or what have you. So I do think, Nick, you're starting to see that the numbers are a little bit shorter and the ages are a little bit higher. And so it makes it a little bit more challenging to identify guys in that later round. But we'll see how it works out moving forward here. But they have a lot going on the college side, and some of which I'm not too involved with, or I haven't paid too much attention with. All I can speak on is my end, and to your point, numbers are down and ages are up.
You're listening to Brett Veach, Chief General Manager, 1 week out of the NFL draft, right here on 96.5 The Fan.
I knew someone was going to ask me that. I think we have 202 right now, which is maybe it's sick high, but we've been anywhere from 85 to 210 over the years, 185, 210. So I think we're right around 202. So I think we have plenty of names to work with, and hopefully we're able to execute our game plan as the names come off, and they'll work those position groups throughout the course of the 3 days next week.
Okay, Matt, Derek, go ahead.
Hey, Brett, appreciate your time as always.
Yeah.
How much do you look at, next year's class, and even, maybe less so 2027, but certainly 2026, as far as just big picture depth, where there might be pockets of players next year versus this year? And obviously thinking like left tackle, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of options this year, but how much do you look at it next year and see, like, wait a minute, there's a position group that might be really rich a year from now, but maybe not as rich this year?
I don't do a lot of that. And I think for the quarterback position, that could be the one position that you could answer that differently. But in general, there are so many variables in regards to looking ahead. And if you have a guy that you like, or you feel like it's reasonable in regards to what you would have to do to get someone that you like throughout the course of the draft, I think you always focus on the present. There's been many times where there's high level prospects that have poor years, or they get hurt, or maybe where you're going to be picking in the draft. And now you throw in the NIL, as Nick just mentioned, some of these really good juniors, they're staying. And we saw the Penn State tackle from a year ago stay an extra year. So if you start playing that game too often, and you throw in the fact that, this kid's a really good lineman, a junior, and then he gets money to stay, or, again, you don't know where you're picking, or if that player gets hurt during the course of the year, or if you have young guys step up. So I just think you focus on the present. Now, I will say, once the draft ends, and once we all take a break and come back for the OTAs in the spring, you start getting aggressive and looking ahead. And that's very beneficial for your free agency plan and your roster building aspect of once you go through the season and you're trying to, bridge the free agency plan with the draft plan. You get a head start on that as soon as possible. But as far as kind of utilizing that with the current draft, I think you'd probably be, in my opinion, I don't have all the answers, but in my opinion, be a little bit more dangerous.
And on the offensive side, you've added some pieces, obviously, at receiver and running back, but obviously bringing back Hollywood too. Where do those two positions stack up for you as far as draft needs, and how do those boards look as far as available players this year?
I missed the first one. You said running back and then wide receiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
running back and
Well, I
receiver.
think the running back class is probably the deepest class in the draft. I mean, I think you can get a really good player from rounds 1 through 5. So, yeah, I mean, look, with all these players, you're a few bad weeks away from having no depth at all. I mean, I know I've always said the story a few years back of that defensive end position where we had a 2 or 3 week span where we lost multiple guys. And, last year, Pacheco got hurt early on. And I mean, we always want to surround Pat with playmakers. And, the more talented wideouts you can throw on the field at one time is something important to us. And depth at running back. And look, this kickoff role too. I mean, ideally, it would be advantageous for us to identify a receiver and or running back that has explosive playmaking ability on both ends. Remigio did a great job, but again, we're always pushing the envelope to get 1% better. And if we can add another dynamic element to both return phases, that would be something that would make sense. So it's not just wanting to continue to add explosive playmaking at the running back or the receiver position. It's also the return game. And so I do feel good about that running back stack. Again, I think it's probably a consensus throughout the draft community and the work that you guys have all done, that there's a ton of running backs. And, I think that there'll be a good chance that one of these picks ends up being one of those players, just because there's so many of them and they're all really good. And the discrepancies between the running back you have in 4th or 5th is really close, or 4th and 3rd is really close. So I think there's a good likelihood that, one of those players ends up on our roster, and hopefully they're a dynamic returner as well.
Thanks, Brett.
Let's go next to Sarin, and then we've got 3 more hands up to wrap us up.
Thanks, and I'll have a follow-up too, if I could. First of all, I know Jesse asked you about trading down, Brett, in the first round, but overall, you've said that you've made your calls, or will, before the draft rolls around, everybody, and you kind of know who's looking to move up and down going into it. But I'm just curious, during the course of the draft, how many times do you get the opportunity to trade down? How many times does the phone ring? Are you fielding 3, 4 each round? Is it once? Do you have to drum it up yourself? Like, how busy is it within the draft on getting those opportunities? I know it's not your preference, right? You've said you'd like to be aggressive, but how many times does the opportunity come around?
I don't think it's as common as people think. When you complete a round and you kind of look at what's on the board or what's coming up, it's probably a little bit easier to say, well, we should have just traded down. But I think that's a good point. I think the question is, could you have traded down? There certainly have been situations that we've executed, and it's been very few. Obviously, we've certainly traded more up than down. I think there was 1 or 2 examples of where we did that. But I would say, we've been picking late every round. So maybe those teams that are in the top end of the round or the middle rounds, they get a little bit more action in regards to phone calls throughout the week. But I would say over the last few years, that first day, there may have been one draft where we received multiple calls about trading down and we didn't do it. But other than that 1 year in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't remember getting a ton of calls on day 1. A little bit more on day 2. You're going to get a lot more calls in day 3, just because the grade discrepancies are all over the board. But I do think in general, the numbers of calls that you get asking to trade down are lower, at least in my experience. We certainly, I think, do a pretty good job of fielding calls, and it's not like we're not answering calls or we're not making calls. A lot of that could have to do with, day 1 and 2, your picks are so late, and those teams may feel like the last chance to get the guy they want in 1 is to move up higher, or in round 2, that once you get to that 50, 60 man cutoff point. And so we've been picking so far behind that that could be a reason too. And in those years that I think a common topic of trading up for the quarterback to get the 5th year option, I don't think that's worked out. Those quarterbacks either didn't go or went higher. So, maybe this is a year that happens, and there's a team that wants to draft early and get a really good player, and then maybe come up and draft a quarterback and get that 5th year. I think that scenario, actually, we talked about that because every year someone says to me in the draft room, we'll just trade back for a team that wants a quarterback. And I'm like, that hasn't happened yet. We've been hearing that every year, and that hasn't happened yet. So maybe this will be the year. So without giving any of my secrets away, I think the only thing I would say definitively is that we're not going to draft a quarterback in one. So we'll certainly have the phones open, and we'll see how that goes.
All right. And then you made the statement going into free agency that, hey, the draft is going to be our free agency. One, I think some people might have felt like maybe you're a little more active than you thought you'd be. I guess I'd just first say, did it go the way you thought as you were looking at it? Is the draft still a big part of your free agency? And does that maybe give you more incentive to need more picks, to need to trade down? Would it be more of a game plan this time? Obviously, it's got to be the right deal, right? I know you don't just set sail and say, I'm going to trade down no matter what. Yeah. Has it lived up the way you thought it would entering free agency? And would that be part of your game plan moving into the draft?
Yeah, I think we knew early on in free agency with what we were facing, and look, as I mentioned to Pete, once this process ends, we'll be in discussions with Trey, trying to get him done. And then I'm sure at some point here, George and Trent, we're going to have dialogue with them. But to your point, as the years go on, and if we hope to keep this winning tradition up and have sustained success, it only becomes more difficult. And knew early on that we would be limited. And, that was obviously the reason why we had to make that trade with Chicago with Tooney. I mean, that was a player that we loved, and it was gut wrenching to have to do that, but you had to do it. And so you're only going to have a limited opportunity to do some things. So we tried to cover up some of the holes in regards to just some stability at left tackle. Corner depth is always a big need, and there are two prime positions that go high in the draft. So let's have a plan to get a couple of those positions that we feel good about now, and then go into the draft. But as you mentioned, Seren, I mean, the more picks you have, the more players and the more depth you can have at these positions. And so to your point, I think it does make sense. And because, you can easily say we need 2 interior defensive linemen, another defensive end, 2 corners, another running back, and 2 or 3 more offensive linemen. So, I mean, you need a ton. And I don't think I ever look at our roster and think like we're good. I feel like there's nothing else we can do. So the more players to have, the more depth you can add on the team. And again, you never know where you're going to need the depth. Every time we go into a season feeling good about a position, that position is the one position. Like receiver last year, like we are loaded at wideout. And then just like Deanna a few years ago, we get to week 3, 4 of the season, and we're making trades for DeAndre Hopkins. Just, Juju Smith, we're trying to figure out where we're going to get receivers. And so like every position, if you get a good player, it doesn't matter whatever you think your perceived depth is, it's not going to be there by the middle of the season. So just stick to your board and draft the best player, but you can't do that unless you get some of this knocked out in free agency. So the more players, the better. And I think that you have to look at these things to sustain depth throughout the season, and trading back and acquiring more picks is certainly a way to do that.
Let's go to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Brett. Thank you.
Hey.
Hey, Sid, I'll have a follow-up too. Brett, obviously you've alluded to this yourself. You've become a bit known for being transactional and aggressive, and you guys have prospered by it. I wonder if you just might speak to from where that comes, and how you've known that that's the right and good way to operate, and how antsy do you get if you're not doing something?
Well, I think it's one of those things where, like, you spend so much time watching all these prospects, and my guys are in the room with me every day, and we take a great deal of pride and respect for these late round picks too, and we attack them with as much attention to detail as we do the the top of the rounds. And so then you get in that mindset where it's like you do the work, and you trust in the work you do. And I do think though that it's good to have some different opinions around me, and maybe you guys haven't seen this on the outside, but I do think, as opposed to years past, that there's a little bit more patience with me, but I just think it stems from, like, we did all this work, we did it for a reason, right? And we're going to do all this work, and if we have a guy, let's go get him. Maybe taking the stance a little of, if we're gonna not have or not be steadfast in our convictions, and then just, it on one end, the more numbers you have and the number of tickets you have in this lottery, the better. But on the other end, there's that element of trusting what you see. And if you're going to do all this work, you might as well go get a guy you like, as opposed to saying, well, I don't believe what I see, so I'd rather just take a few guys, because a few guys is better than the one guy I like. So, but it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a balance of, controlled discipline. And so I think I've slowly over the years gotten a little bit better with that. It's just one of those things where I feel like you watch so much tape. It's like, well, hell, just go up there and get the guy you want. If you watched it and you believe in it, and just do that. And it was kind of the way with, Patrick, and it was the same way with Trent, and it was the same way with all these guys. And it's not always right, though. And so I think being selective, I think the process is right. It's just being more selective on when you do it. You don't need to do it every single round. And I think that's one thing. I mean, we can always get better at things, and I'm no different. That's one of the things that the guys have helped me with, and just being more selective in that process.
And the follow-up just is, you alluded to it, I think, in the context of left tackle, particularly before, but, one eye to the future and one eye to the present at all times. Can you describe how you apply that thinking to the draft? I mean, obviously you have immediate needs, but obviously it's a long-term gain.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it starts with free agency. And so I don't think you want to put yourself in a position where, we look at free agency like, pretend there's no draft. We have to go out and line up week one and play. I mean, what do we need? And so bringing more in and having some depth at corner and adding another playmaker at running back were things that we thought would be beneficial, but we're certainly not where we need to be. And thankfully we have the draft. And so now when you get to these picks, you're going to always stick to the value on the board, but within that value, you're going to stick to the premium position. So, O-line and D-line, I mean, if all things are equal, you're going to always defer to that, and you're going to continue to build the lines. And so, like I said, with Juwan being toward the tail end of his contract, and Jalen being on a smaller contract, I mean, those things, I mean, these years pass by quick, and before you know it, we'll be sitting here talking on a Zoom before the 2026 draft. So can never have enough of these guys. And then those positions like O-line, D-line, and corner, they're hard to find. They're not available in free agency for the most part. I mean, you typically don't find left tackles in free agency or starting corners and stuff, certainly not pass rushing 3-tech. So you get a chance at any point in the draft where you like a guy, you take him, and can never have enough of those guys.
You're continuing to listen to Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach speak about the draft 1 week from tonight. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan.
Hey, Brett, thanks again. I have quick questions as well. The first one is, when you talk about the defensive line, particularly interior and edge, just what intrigues you most about that part of this year's draft class? And is it somewhat similar to your guys' feeling about running back?
I think the defensive end is so the defensive line class in general is good. I think that's probably driven more so by the depth at D end. I think there's a lot of D ends, and I think that running backs is certainly, I think, the deepest class in the draft. A close second would be D end. I think the interior defensive line numbers are I think better than most years, but I don't think they come anywhere close to the D-line depth and the corner depth. I think those two are just wow. I mean, you look at the board and those names go from top to bottom. Interior O-line is light. Corner, I think, is actually decent in the middle rounds. I think D-line is okay, but I don't think it's any more or less than any one particular. I think that where you're getting the big numbers from top to bottom are D-end and running backs. And then everywhere else, it's a little bit scattered. Corners, I think, a little meatier in the middle. And then receivers, every year you're going to have numbers. It's just the vision and the plan, how you're going to utilize those guys within your offense. So you're always going to have numbers. I think certainly like last year was an extraordinary class, and there's so many receivers taken high. I don't think you're going to see that this year, but you'll see receivers taken in every round just because they're always plentiful in regards to numbers. So I think that when you talk about the D line, I think that that's really getting fueled by the defensive end depth.
Yeah. And secondly, you've just talked before about, learning from discipline and obviously trade philosophy throughout the years. How much does that apply to the top 30 visits or the guys you want to bring in sort of after pro days, after the draft, to sort of learn more about them, whether that's medical, off the field, or obviously just the way they match up with your coaching staff, your scheme?
Are you asking in the context of like trading up or for those guys or just the value of those 30 visits?
Yeah, just the overall value of the visit and what you try to maybe learn, or what you sort of experienced throughout the years that makes those visits maybe more important than maybe they were, 4, 5, 6 years ago when you were doing it.
Yeah, I think I find every opportunity you have to spend with a player, I find to be valuable. And I know there's some teams that don't even do 30 visits, and but I'm just kind of a believer. The more you spend time with a prospect, the more you get to know, and even if it's a little bit's better than nothing. And now the 30 visits we handle in different ways, and so I think the primary focus of the 30 visits are the guys that we really like that did not get invited to the combine, and that's purely for medical. The combine participants all have the same medical evaluation process that is done in Indianapolis. We all get that information. We look at it, we talk to our doctors, and we talk about the risks and guys that we're concerned about. However, there's a ton of guys that don't get invited to the combine. They have no medical on. So if you like that guy, and that's varying ranges. There's guys that don't get invited to the combine in years past that we had in the 3rd round, and there's a ton of guys we had in the 6th or 7th, and we just bring them in just in case we draft them late. So that's probably the primary reason we bring those guys in. And then there are guys that for some reason at the combine, the combine's weird too, because everyone does these formal interviews, right? And you get 20 minutes, and sometimes a player comes 4 minutes late because a team's holding them, and sometimes the computer's frozen, or sometimes a coach goes off in a different tangent and they start talking about stuff that is cool and funny, but you haven't really learned anything about the player because you're talking about a coach that both of you know, right? And so that 20 minutes goes fast. Now, sometimes these kids are boom, they're right there, and we get right into it. We ask questions about their upbringing and all that kind of stuff. You feel good. There's a lot of guys though that you look and they leave, and you're like, I didn't get anything out of that. And some of these guys I want to bring in and learn more. So that happens every year. So it's just guys that we just didn't get a great feel for, or maybe you only get so many of these formal interviews allotted to you, and that there were probably every year we have like 10 guys that you hand these in. There's a cutoff date, and every year there's always like, oh, we shouldn't have added this guy because we're fine with this guy. We should have added this guy. So then we're like, oh, we'll just bring in for a 30, right? No big deal. So sometimes I think people look maybe too far into it, but certainly there's a reason why we're bringing them in, and whether that be, and I'm sure with the players that we just brought in, right? You're going to get additional medical. So the guys at the combine that needed a recheck, whether it be a knee, a shoulder, an ankle, those guys are going to have to come in and get a recheck. So if we can bring those guys in to get extensive time with our doctors, that's important for us. So it starts off with the guys that are not draftable, it starts off with the guys that are not combine invites that we think are draftable, that don't have a medical. And it goes to the guys that we didn't get enough time with. Then it goes to the guys that our docs want to see more on. So we use it in a variety of ways, but those are typically the 3 buckets that they fall in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, good morning, Brett.
Hey, Herbie.
Quick question here. You've mentioned multiple times the depth at defensive end and to an extent the cornerback position. How much do you feel like the overall depth at those position groups will affect the ultimate decision whether to exercise a 5th-year option on Karlaftis and even McDuffie?
I don't think that it'll affect it at all. I think those are players that you want in a Kansas City uniform for a long time, and but those are 2 premium positions, so you can never have enough of those players. But as far as that altering a decision like a 5th-year option on either of those guys, that I don't think that would come into play.
All right, so that's Chief General Manager Brett Veach. A lot there. We're going to react to that as we're a week out from the draft. We're just getting started. Weird start to the show, I understand, but we'll get into it. A lot of things that Veach said when it comes to a few position groups. I think one in particular was very obvious with what he had to say. We'll react to that coming up next right here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Cole Reagans, and you're listening to Cody and Gold. Weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The other place, Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton have lots of big screens, great food, and beer specials. Plus, patio season is coming up soon. The Other Place is your home for baseball this spring. The Other Place and theotherplace.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together. So close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We've got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts. Beer. And barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here. And we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See kslottery.com for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here. If you were misled or lied to in any way when buying a timeshare, right now is your wake-up call. With the tariffs, economy tanking, and inflation rising, you might need to ask yourself this question. Is owning a timeshare a good idea? With all the economic uncertainty, you need to protect yourself and your family. Don't look back and say, if I'd have only got rid of that stupid timeshare they lied to me about. It's time to stop thinking about canceling your timeshare and finally get rid of it and be smart with your money. At Wesley Financial Group, we've saved 48,000 families an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare permanently or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-282-7766. 800-282-7766. 800-282-7766.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. The baseball season is underway as we continue to see the teams separate themselves from the rest. Texas has had a resurgence, returning to form after winning it all in 2023. They will be tested in an early season series against Los Angeles. Will Texas be able to wrangle a couple of wins in the series? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't get you, IIHS NHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
This report is brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka in Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka in Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Proud partner of the Kansas City Royals. Each can of Surfside is only 100 calories. And the best part, 0 bubbles. Grab it at the K or ask for it at your favorite bars and liquor stores.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
All right, just getting started here on Cody and Gold. Obviously, the first chunk of the show, hearing from Brett Veach each year right before the draft. He speaks about kind of their thoughts, maybe their plans to a certain extent, and how they view at least the draft class. There's a lot to react to. We'll do that throughout the show today. I promise you we'll talk about the Royals getting swept by the Yankees here in about 10 minutes or so as well. We also have Nate Taylor, who you heard on that conference call, asking a question to Brett Veach. Nate Taylor's going to join us in the studio in the 1 o'clock hour, but there's a variety of ways we can start. I actually want to start with running backs for a second because that was the clearest out of everything he said in terms of how he feels about the running back. A couple things Brett Veach mentioned. He said, look, there's a good chance one of those dudes ends up being on our roster, ends up being one of our selections, right? Said that, the discrepancy between the 4th round guy and the 3rd round guy is not that much. The 5th round guy and the 6th round guy, not that much. Good likelihood one ends up on the roster, and hopefully, he said, one is also a dynamic returner, because he mentioned with the changing kickoff rules how that's always going to be important. So that's nothing. It's always good to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, but we've known the running back class is as good as it gets out of all the positions. Correct. And we've known that the Chiefs want to get more explosive at that position. So that's just confirmation of what we've kind of all assumed. Does it mean they're going to draft one in the 2nd round or 1st round? No, but they're drafting a running back. There's no question about it.
I think it's interesting that he mentioned anywhere from the 1st to the 5th round he sees starters. So he's not going to say, no, I won't take Hampton in the 1st. And my guess is that there's one back that they love, that they would be happy to take earlier depending on it. But what he'd said later in the presser, which was what he's learning is I can always trade it for the guy that I love, but I don't have to trade it for the guy I love every time. Sometimes I'm capable or can wait. And so if you can wait or have the opportunity to wait, well, then take that chance and then don't worry about it and figure out kind of where you go from there. And so the way I view that, Gold, at least, is he doesn't have – he's not ruling out taking one in the 2nd round, but he's fine. If he has to just wait till the 3rd or the 4th, he will. But, yeah, I mean, that stood out to me a ton. The defensive end, which we can talk about here in a little bit, defensive line stuff stood out to me a ton. But at least he's saying the right words. A lot of explosive running backs in this draft, so, same thing we've been talking about.
Yeah, the other thing of many that stood out was when he discussed – the overall position groups, right? Offensive line, defensive line, corner, wide receiver. Those are the areas. Doesn't mean those are the only areas that they would target, but that's what he references, individual positions. And we try to read into it a little bit and also not think everything's definitive, right? Doesn't mean just because he said O-line, D-line, corner, wide receiver are areas they could target. It doesn't mean that they're not going to draft more in another area and not end up drafting an offensive lineman or something like that. But I will say, I mean, he spoke for 40 minutes, and you can hear there was certainly some answers that gave us some insight. I thought the running back part was the most interesting of that, plus the defensive line convo. He said the defensive line class is good. Depth at defensive end, didn't mention interior, didn't mention defensive tackle as much. Basically said that interior defensive lines are better than most years, but not anywhere close to what they have at edge or even the cornerback depth. So keep that in mind if you're saying, hey, I want them to go get an interior defensive lineman. Based at least what he's saying publicly, they feel that you better go get that guy earlier because there's not a ton of depth later.
So in fairness, that's the way I take that. Not that they wouldn't take a defensive tackle because they see that as being not deeper or the same level of depth. But instead, if you want a defensive end, he's like, I can probably get Scorton in the second round, or I can get this guy I like in the third, or whatever else. Mm-hmm. Versus if you want the guys we've talked about, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, some of those level of players, they're probably going to be in the first round. Now, look, you and I already thought defensive line in general should be top priority for the first round of the NFL draft. I think specifically probably defensive tackle. And some of that is because I think Chris Jones is getting old or a million other things, right, that just exist in nature that you don't want to deal with or worry about. And so, yeah, I still think defensive tackle is a real possibility early. And it sounds like Brett Veach does not feel way different than that. And I will say one of the other positive things to hear is that corner's got some depth in the middle. Because that's a position I think that, like defensive line, I'm not really sure you can take too many of them, you know? You can't have too many good corners. You can't have too many good defensive linemen. And, Joshua Williams, I think, could be on, roster thin ice, and Watson hasn't been able to stay healthy. I don't think they got the depth there.
I think Josh Williams making the team. I'm not worried. As far as playing time, I don't know what that'll be depending on the draft and stuff. But he's not. I don't think he's a cut candidate if we're doing that already. I think they're going to carry how many? Let's see. I'd have to go. How many corners did they carry last year? He carried five or six.
I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
He carried 5 or 6, and so if you have Trent McDuffie, you have Christian Fulton. Let's say they draft a corner. There's 3. Josh Williams. What's his name? I'm forgetting the. Najee Johnson is 5. I think. Now, you could argue that he doesn't see the field very often. I would be pretty stunned if Josh Williams was a
fourth or fifth round pick, not making any money. It would depend largely on the draft. I don't think.
Unless they're drafting multiple corners, though, you have to, as we found out through injury last year, you got to have 5 or 6 of them because somebody's getting hurt. Jalen Watson I didn't even mention him. Sorry, he's got an injury history. So could Josh Williams be the 4th or 5th corner next year? Sure. By the way, that's good depth if that's the case.
Last year, I think this is the other part about corner for the draft is. Last year, I thought it became pretty evident before the season. They didn't love any of their corner 2 options. That's why they went after Fulton, in fairness. But that doesn't mean they love him as corner 3 either, man. They were trying to do anything to pit those guys up against each other last year. Can we... You remember, to start the year, it's it kind of felt like they wanted Najee Johnson to win it, but he didn't win it. And then they went to Watson, and then he got hurt. And then they didn't really
took a stranglehold on it. Yeah.
No, and then we started seeing some of the further down depth guys as possible options just for them. So that's the case. The running back has to be the most encouraging thing.
They're drafting one, man. They're drafting one.
They're taking one. And I think they're taking one in the first 4 rounds. I know he mentioned the later rounds, but he didn't mention there was going to be an undrafted guy who's a starting running back in the league the year with
He has mentioned that before. Yeah, he said that he did say though the discrepancy between a 4th and a 3rd round, he doesn't think there's much of a gap. So maybe in their mind, if there's who's
I don't think
available,
4 or 5 guys, they'd be fine drafting on the board.
It was
That's
interesting.
What it
the whole return thing was interesting that he said. So I went and I did some digging real quick. Jordan James from Oregon. Not a higher end guy. He's one of the top 10 running backs at the position based on ESPN's rankings. He's got a lot of returning experience. So maybe he's a name to watch in that 4th round where Veach, they haven't taken one. And he's like, well, I like what he does, return game as well as what he could do out of the backfield. And that's a tell maybe on who he could potentially look at.
We're going to talk more about what Brett Veach had to say coming up during the Chiefs Red half hour in about 35 minutes or so, including a little update on why maybe things are taking a while on the Trey Smith front, the draft being a big reason for that. So that's coming up in just a bit. But up next, let's talk about the Royals. They get swept by the Yankees, and now this series starting tonight in Detroit feels massive. We'll tell you why that's the case, other than just the standings and everything, next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Listen up. Underdog has just become one of the best places to make entries during the basketball playoffs. More play-in tournament stuff last night. And with their extender program, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts. With the extender, you start a playoff series using a game one boost, continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. Pretty simple. Underdog is the leading place to play all of your sports selections. You can now play on the side of Missouri. I mean, you could be sitting out on your couch making those selections thanks to Underdog. It's one of the fastest growing sports game apps that you can play on the Missouri side. Look, millions of fans have already won billions making plays at Underdog. Why not be next? Download the Underdog app and sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, and unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.web/extend.html for details. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Being engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
If you're like me and you're trying to break through that boring lunch routine, I've got the option for you. I discovered lunch at Hy-Vee Market Grill. Forget the after-lunch fast food coma. The Hy-Vee Market Grill offers fast and fresh options with made-to-order burgers, salads, sandwiches, and wraps like the 3-cheese patty melt, the crispy chicken or Cobb salad, BLT or tenderloin sandwich, and my personal favorite, the peanut butter bacon burger. For high quality and great value, freshen up your lunch routine at the Hy-Vee Market Grill today.
Hop into Hy-Vee for all your Easter needs, like baskets, candy, chocolate bunnies, and more. Treat your family to Easter brunch at the Market Grill. Just $24.99 for adults, $7.99 for children, and kids 5 and under eat free. Staying home? Try Hy-Vee's Easter meal deal for just $30. Get all the fixings you need to feed your ducklings spiral sliced ham, russet potatoes and gravy, green bean casserole, and bakery fresh rolls. Make this your most excellent Easter ever, only at Hy-Vee.
Are you prepared for the change in seasons? Take advantage of Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter's $69 seasonal HVAC tune-up deal to help prevent costly breakdowns and ensure your heating or cooling system is running at peak efficiency. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 5-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Our licensed technicians and exceptional service guarantee will give you peace of mind. Visit callhamilton.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
Something amazing is happening at work. Innovative tools are helping people do better work. That's because CDW configuration specialists are multiplying productivity with Microsoft Windows 11 Pro Surface devices. Built-in security, flexibility, and simplified management streamline tasks so your team can get more done. Microsoft and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/surface.
Kubota Orange Days delivers the savings you need for the life you love. Shop a wide selection of equipment at your local dealer, including America's #1 selling compact tractor. and get your perfect match delivered to your door. Designed for comfort and built for performance. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,000 off select compact tractors. Sales ending soon. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
What's up, KC? This is Matt Quattrero. On your way home from the ballpark, make sure to listen to Vern's postgame show right here on 96.5 The Fan. I will not be listening.
96.5 The Fan, KFNC-FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, 11 o'clock hour. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We are about 15 minutes away from the trash of the day. Let's talk some baseball before we get back into the NFL draft, as we heard from Brett Veach in the first hour of the show. The Royals, of course, get swept yesterday to wrap up the series in the Bronx against the Yankees. Once again, similar story, right? Close game, pitching gives you a chance, offense not enough.
Thought MJ got that one
late. Yeah, the last would end up being the last opportunity at the plate. Great play in right field, but it's been the same story there. They continue the road trip, 4-game series, an even bigger series now against the Detroit Tigers to wrap up this long 10-game road trip where the Royals currently have 1 win on the road. That 1 win came on Sunday against the Cleveland Guardians. And it is April 17th, and so I'm not going to act like the season is over with this series result. But This series feels massive now. You and I said a 5-5 road trip or a 4-6 will take. The only way they're going 4-6 on the road is taking 3 of 4 this weekend starting tonight against the Detroit Tigers. This feels like a massive series for a lot of fans too. I'm not saying like, hey, if they go and take 1 over the weekend, I'm not saying that the season is over. But, man, the path starts to get really tricky even this early with what they have ahead of them and the math that you have to figure out and how dominant they would probably have to be against the White Sox again and against some lesser teams, which they will play the Rockies coming up in a week or so. But at bare minimum, doesn't it feel like they have to split this weekend against Detroit now?
I guess I want to preface it with the thing you said, which is, no, I do not think that the season is just over. Even if they lost all 4, I wouldn't tell you the season is over. Now, I would tell you it's in trouble. Trouble. Like the early stage is like the thing we talk about all the time. Do not find no way to bury yourself early on to the point that you can't make it up because, look, some teams can overcome that. The Astros in previous years, even last year, have found a way to do it. But knowing where you typically stand amongst the standings, do you want to be completely out of it? No, you don't. You've now lost 3 in a row, your longest losing streak of the season. It's Lorenzen on the mound, but as it sits right now, you're still only a game and a half back of teams like the Guardians or the Angels or anyone else who might be in like those final playoff spots. Nothing is inherently changed as far as you're not way behind the 8 ball. The Detroit Tigers have also lost 2 games in a row. So by splitting, you essentially keep yourself in the same spot. Couple games back of them, couple games back of a playoff spot, and you can feel better about yourself going into it. Bit concerning that the Detroit Tigers do have, and I will tell you right now, their strength is very similar to the Royals. The Tigers can pitch, and pitch pretty well. They have Skubal and Job and a couple of other guys in Detroit.
It's a 4-game series. You're seeing both.
You're seeing the meat of the Detroit. You can't avoid any of it, really, of the Detroit Tigers rotation. You didn't accidentally get lucky, and Skubal would have gone game 5 had there been a 5-game series. So for an offense that, at the moment, can't find it, it's concerning to me that you would go in there. Just 2-2. Like, I know that this is a stabilizing thing, and overall we'll still come out of this thing and be like, that wasn't a good enough road trip. And then it's going to make me call for the sweep of the Colorado Rockies.
But that's the position
which
that
is asking too much, but yeah.
You know, that's the position you're putting yourself in. If you're not going to perform well against the higher quality teams, and they faced them, right? It's been a tough start to the schedule. Then you are setting yourself up where you're going to need to dominate the White Sox again, that you're going to need to dominate teams like the Rockies if you think you're not going to be able to get wins against these better teams. But what I still think, as much as everybody, and look, we've done it too, has focused on Melendez and Renfroe. You know what the bigger problem is right now? Jonathan India and Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Massey, these dudes aren't hitting. That's the bigger problem. This season, the success that they were going to have was never going to be about Hunter Renfroe and MJ Melendez carrying the offense. And this is not excusing how bad they have been, okay? But that is who has been under the microscope and obviously in the crosshairs, and I totally get why. But the reason they are having the road trip they're having is because of the names I mentioned prior to them. The guys that we look at and you guys know that will have to perform, and I still have confidence that they will, talking about India and Vinny and Michael Massey to a lesser extent, but really I'm talking about India and Salvador Perez and Vinny. Those 3 guys have to get better. Am I confident that those 3 will? Yes. I don't think Vinny's going to hit a $185 or whatever he is all year, or whatever it is right now. Like, clearly not playing well. But that's the bigger problem, Cody. Those names, big time, way more than if your number 7, 8, 9 hitter is actually getting on base or not. And last night, actually, the bottom of the order was effective somehow.
Yeah, it was. And, I thought I was at MJ squared one up. But unfortunately, when you are in a cold streak, even when you hit the ball well, because he struck out the previous 3 at-bats. Even when you hit a ball well, it doesn't necessarily find somebody. I don't know if anybody caught MLB Network. Vinny Pasquantino was on there. He was doing an interview before the game yesterday or the day before, whatever it was. And he was talking about his bat speed. He has one of the 5 highest increases in his bat speed this year. Normally you'd say, oh, that's a good thing. Bat speed is good, right? You would think overall. This was his explanation, which I found fascinating, because this is how particular hitting is when it comes to, like, are you hitting well or are you not?
Largest increase in bat speed?
Yeah, I did know this.
Concerted effort in the offseason, change of workouts or anything? Swinging heavy bat?
I got stronger in the offseason. There wasn't any concerted effort to just increase the bat speed. I'm trying to figure out if this is a good thing for me or not. Because I've started to swing and miss a little bit more. I've started to chase a little bit more this year. And I'm wondering if I'm trying too hard. So there's a piece of it where it's like, am I overswinging? It's something we're walking through right now of where am I at my best? We've started to look at some bat speed models from the past few years of, okay, where's my honey hole? Is that in a vacuum, swinging fast?
Right. Is that because you believe sometimes with the increased bat speed you might be in and out of the zone?
Yeah. Well, last night, for example, I hit a cutter right here, 108 that way.
Yeah. That's not doing you anything.
I don't really want to do that. Right. So, I think there's a piece of it where some of it is, and it was a 2-0 count, so I'm ready to rip, I'm ready to go, and got the pitch that I thought I wanted and hit it foul. So it was one of those things where it's like, well, maybe there's a piece of it where there's too much effort on trying to be too quick, and with that, and it might not necessarily be the bat speed itself, but it's the effort of trying to get out front and do some damage as opposed to letting it come to me.
That's some of what Vinny said. Very honest, though, talking about. You don't hear that very often.
Usually
from,
is. He's like,
he is, but in general, you don't hear athletes, let alone baseball players, be that on. Like the bat speed thing actually might be a problem for him.
He's getting out in front. He's chasing stuff more. He's up. Look, hitting is crazy because like one little hink like can throw the whole system off. He's like, I'm not even sure if it's a good thing for me right now because it might be throwing off the way that I've had success. So like, yeah, I like you. Do not think Vinny's going to hit like this the entire year. I think it'd be kind of crazy to assume that.
But he's one of the guys that have to get going. We can talk till we're blue in the face about MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe and should they be sent down or DFA'd or they're not
Vinny
hitting.
And Bobby and India, or not Bobby, but if Vinny and India and Massey and Salvi aren't going to hit, well, then we're not getting anywhere anyway. India, I saw people last night on Twitter being like, should they move him out of the leadoff spot? I'm like, for who?
Yeah.
Are we watching the same? No one can hit right now. Unless you're here to tell me you want to go back to Michael Garcia at the leadoff spot, which they did for a huge chunk last year and it didn't work. Look, sometimes the plan fails, and I'll admit that. Like, I don't know if that's going to be the case here. I am not saying that's the case right now. Sometimes it fails, but there is no scenario this year in which you trade away Brady Singer, trade for Jonathan India, and you move him off the leadoff spot and you're successful. The only way you're successful is if he works. He works there specifically. And so in the interim, is it a problem that he's not hitting very well? Sure, it is. But it's not just him. It's not just Vinny. It's not just Salvi.
What about...
It's the whole lineup. They only gave up 4 runs in 3 games in New York to the number 1 power hitting team in the league and got swept. So, like, the problem is just the offense, the aggregate. It's not, it's not that part.
You go into a game, and right now, your pitching can be pretty darn good, and if not great at times, and an opponent gets to 4 runs, and in the way they're playing right now, the game's over. That's the reaction from fans, understandably so. If I tell you tonight the Tigers get 4 runs in the first 6 innings, chances are they're losing. And not chances, they are losing. The numbers say they are losing.
Like Chris Bubich
right this second.
Last night.
That's where they're at. Now, there's a bigger conversation to be had, too, about for those that want guys called up, right? John Rave's name comes up, among others. Hey, call this guy up. And, in those are more the replacement level players for a Melendez or Renfroe. Yeah. But that doesn't solve the bigger names. The question is right now, and a name that's going to get more and more in the crosshairs is not a player. It's going to be Alex Zumwalt, who has been praised over and over. He's done a great job. And most notably, he got praised for Bobby Wood Jr., who is just a superstar anyway. But I'm not saying he hasn't helped him. But,
Yeah, I think you get the credit for the successes and the failures. Right. I think sometimes people are like, he'd have been good no matter who it is.
For him, if this offense a month from now is still... 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, is still across the board, with the exception of Bobby, basically, across the board struggling, and not just 2 guys at the bottom of the order. If the entire offense is struggling, then you absolutely have to look at your hitting development at the lower levels and at the big league level, and what adjustments are or not being made. If they are going to right now be, the 29th or 30th worst or 30th best.
The only team worse is the Rockies, the team that's coming to the K on Tuesday, baby.
So I think
they're ready for some 2-1 games.
The conversation will shift towards hitting coach and others if this offense is struggling still weeks and weeks from now.
Because with the
I know some people are saying like you can't wait. I totally understand. That's why I think it's a huge series this weekend. But they're not firing a hitting coach on April 17th.
Yeah.
And they're not maybe they send down Melendez after this road trip. Maybe. But they're not DFAing Hunter Renfroe this weekend. Those are just things that are not happening. And I get why they're not happening this early in the season.
One thing I've seen is just everybody's ready to get rid of everybody. I'm like, would you like them to send the entire major league roster down to the minors? And if they could. You want them to send India and Vinny and Massey and Sav, just send them all down to the minors.
Well, people are frustrated.
And we'll just call it. And they should.
People are frustrated.
Team made the playoffs last year, but that's why this series is important. Everyone starts to feel more regulated. And I know 10 and 12 on the records wouldn't be like, wow, look at them go. But everything starts to feel a little more regulated that the team who is currently in first place in the American League Central, while you're on their turf against a really good pitching staff, you just go 2-2. Look, you win 3 out of 4, and all of a sudden I'm riding high. I'm feeling great. Team's back to 500. You made a dent on the team who's sitting ahead of you in the standings. Cool. 2-2 is vital. You go 0-4, and it is full-blown panic. I mean, panic from Royals fans. 1-3, and you're feeling bad. But 0-4, and panic will set in for Royals fans.
Yeah, someone.
And they'll have no choice but to start making some kind of moves.
913-586-7965. That's the Jay Southland Tow Service text line as we're talking about the Royals getting swept against the Yankees, looking ahead, and the struggles, obviously, with this offense right now. Someone says, they texted in, they said 7 out of 9 are hitting below 200. Today you're saying it too. What's your solution? Well, one, I think we just told you the bigger problem is the guys 1 through 4 than it is the guys 7 through 9. Honestly, at this point, the solution is not just going ahead and sending down 4 players. They could send down MJ Melendez today. The offense isn't suddenly just going to start hitting. So the solution, as I said, right now you don't like the answer. You have to wait it out. Yeah. You have to say that the track record of who Vinny's been as a hitter, the track record of who Salvi has been as a hitter, the track record of who Jonathan India has been as a guy that gets on base, even though he's not a power guy, he still had 15 home runs last year. He hasn't hit one yet this year. Like that's what you're waiting on. And you can use the word hope if you want, and that doesn't make people happy. But I'm banking on the track record. I don't think that Vinny and these guys just suddenly lost their talent and skill and the Monstars stole it. That's what I am telling you. But admittedly, if weeks from now they are still not hitting as an entire offensive unit, which is the case right now, then guys like Alex Zumwalt and the hitting development and the hitting coach and all that has to be under the microscope more. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I'm not saying they won't have those conversations, but I wouldn't like it, I'll say. I wouldn't like if my organization panicked after 18 games. That would concern me. I wouldn't like them to tear it all down. Zumwalt's gone. Q can get out of here.
Of this though, people are.
I'm not saying that
there has to be a balance of what fans are saying, right? Of the world is ending, with also the hey, nothing is wrong, right? Both are extremes. You can't say nothing's wrong. You also can't say that the season is over. There's got to be a little bit of middle ground, and I know that doesn't always exist, but. This series this weekend is going to change. At bare minimum, fan interest and buy-in by the time they come back into the K. Whatever happens this weekend is going to potentially tank that.
If they go 2-2, do you get to take a deep breath? Is that how that feels? 2-2 is like a deep breath. 3-4 is like you're feeling like you got a little pep in your step, Gold. Is that how it is? This is my chain of command. They win all 4 games. Whoo, I'm riding high. Everything's fixed. Problems are solved. Rainbows and puppies and sunshine, we're great.
Yeah.
They win 3 out of 4. I got a nice pep in my step. Almost clicked my heels on the way inside my house. 2-2, take a deep breath. 1-3, I am starting to really worry. 0-4, I'm in full panic.
Right.
That's why, when you say it's a big series, I have the pain chart essentially at the doctor's office, but for my own personal feelings, you know?
Right. No, I hear you. Someone said, hey, there's expectations for the team now that they made the playoffs. The bar is set very high. You can have high expectations and understand that right now the way they're playing, there's no way they're going to meet that without saying they got to tear it all down. That's all. Yeah, the expectation. We are holding them to the standard of making the playoffs. I told you, I'm holding them to the standard of winning this division this year. But to act like on April 17th that I should already say that the standard is clearly 1,000% not going to be met and they got to tear it all down and they should trade this guy and DFA this guy, that's what I mean by the balance. We can acknowledge they're not meeting their expectation. We're all on the same page without also acting like they need a DFA 3 guys and they need to go and fire this hitting coach. That's all I'm saying. So ultimately, I actually think we agree with more than we think, like a lot of things in life than we realize, even though we're all kind of talking around each other. But let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
All right. I love this one. I love this trash of the day because we haven't had a good heist story.
Oh, I do enjoy a good heist.
The last heist story we brought up was, and there still has not been, I don't believe, a conclusion, was that story out in L.A. over Easter last year, I think it was, Easter week. So we're almost coming up right on a year, where there was the Brinks facility or one of those companies, and someone, they got a machine somehow and
they
completely...
ever catch that person?
No. And it was, remember, it was like...
Good for them.
Are they long gone now?
Oh,
I mean,
it's been a year.
They've been getting away with it for a year or
so
two.
So that was the last real heist story we had, but we got an update. This goes out to L.A. Yeah. That wasn't a heist, really, right?
No.
All right. Los Angeles, also. It's another one in L.A. According to the Associated Press, burglars tunneled through a concrete wall to gain access, and there's video of this, it's incredible, access to an L.A. jewelry store, making off with at least $10 million worth of watches, pendants, gold chains, and other merchandise. The heist happened around 9:30 Sunday night at a place called Love Jewels on Broadway, the heart of downtown jewelry district there. Investigators were reviewing security camera footage that shows the suspects entered the store from a large hole they drilled from the property next door. I mean, this is Italian job. This is all that. All
you see this in every heist movie. They're always like, drilling underneath to gain access.
They tunneled through multiple levels of concrete into the target location. An unknown number of suspects fled through the same hole and drove off in a late-model Chevy truck. The heist was not discovered until store employees, of course, arrived to work Monday morning. Initial estimates, again, $10 million, although the owner told the AP the loss was around $20 million. They did not have insurance. No alarms went off, and the feed to their in-store security cameras were cut.
Wait, I feel like you kind of have. Don't you have to have insurance? You got $20 million worth of stuff laying around?
Well,
I gotta have it on
some insurance.
I had it on my $3,000 car. What you can't before? You don't want it on $20 mil?
Yeah.
Dang.
The video and the footage is the photos are incredible. It is straight out of a movie. It really is. Like, these people clearly saw a movie way back when and said, all right, let's do some research. Can we do this? This was a pro job.
I would think that you did a little research on you always have to assume that it's something Gold, like the guy worked at the alarm company who installed it because he knew it wouldn't trigger.
Well, they'll look into all that.
If you went through the wall or,
Yeah.
let me say, I feel like you got to have some, alarm schematic or, former employees, obviously. So I was like, I think you had to have some knowledge that the alarm system wouldn't trigger by digging through the night. I guess, what did you say the lot was next to it? How do they find, the business next to it in order to gain access?
I don't know what type of business it was. Yeah.
Was it empty? How do they gain access to the basement?
It just said a building next door. Could be vacant. Who knows?
Damn, okay.
But they tunneled through the concrete. This is almost a year to the date of the story we mentioned from Garda World in L.A., which fell on Easter holiday, where they got upwards of $20 million, one of the largest thefts ever in the United States. And that was a story that still has no conclusion. They're still investigating.
Somebody claims if you've paid for it and have no loans on the merchandise, you can just self-insure or have no insurance.
I guess the store could have fully. If you've already paid for it, you're still losing $20 million.
I just don't think I'd want to risk it. What's the chance somebody walks out with $100,000? I want protection. And of course, I don't know what those insurance things cost. My wife does work for an insurance researcher who does stuff for insurance companies. Maybe I should,
This one feels like it's more likely they get caught than the other one. The other one was money. This one is jewelry.
It's harder to fence the jewelry. They've got codes and stuff in some of them,
And a money serial, I understand. Garda World probably had all the dollar bills. So I understand there's tracking methods for both. But my guess is these people are more likely to get caught than the people, one, because it's already been a year, duh. These people, the window, they got a 2-week window where you feel like you have a good chance to catch these people. After that, good luck. The people from a year ago, that $20 million heist, as Drew said, they are long gone.
Do you try to fence
overseas? They're never going to get caught, essentially, as long as they don't mess up. They're basically, unless they introduce themselves back to society.
There's no,
you better have a fence already in motion if you're going to go through this amount of trouble to steal it.
It's going to take a while to...
You better have a place to get rid of it already.
Take a while to funnel, the $20 million through a bunch of laundromats in L.A., It's going to take a bit.
Well, one diamond ring, and you can't, it doesn't work. With cash, at least you can, I can run it through the washing machine and try to take the thing to the damn casino. I can't do anything. Jules, I have to have a fence. Yeah. You got to have an actual, you got to have somebody who's willing to take in all that.
Those
jewelry.
People exist. Those people exist.
Or some you got to know a lot of shady pawnbrokers.
This is also out in L.A. It's more feasible to find that quickly in L.A. than it is if you were in Kansas City or something.
Yeah, I'd be trying to get myself on a cargo ship. I'm trying to fence that stuff overseas,
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not trying to do that on the home turf. Feels like it's a little too easy to catch.
Just go full movie and have a private jet waiting for them at the airport. Sunday night, they broke in. By 1 a.m., there's a flight to fly to another country and get the hell out of town.
The thing they never cover on that is when you fly back into another country, you still have to go through customs.
Right.
They're going to go through your stuff.
But not if you're paying off somebody at that.
You have a customs official.
Not if you're paying somebody off in that random country.
That's true. Fair enough.
At least that's what the movies tell me. I don't know.
Never actually tried to pull off a massive
Turns out I haven't. All right, that's the trash of the day. Up next, let's react a little bit more to what Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach had to say about this upcoming draft. We are just a week out, which means we are counting down to some of our final mock drafts as well. That's next here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Kansas City.
With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
During the NBA play-in tournament, FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. Join FanDuel today. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists to who you think will get a double-double, who you think will make the first basket of the game. FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, even after a game tips off, you can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win real big. So visit FanDuel.com. Use my promo code KFNZ to get in on all the NBA play-in tournament action. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued with nominal drawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Do you know a coach who goes above and beyond? The Royals, the CU and the Major Leagues Foundation, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City are recognizing those impactful men and women. Nominate your high school coach at royals.com/coaches with character.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Rawhide Harley's dedicated team of finance experts are ready to get you approved. Credit so bad your mama won't lend you money?
I love you, dear, but hell to the no.
Then let the Credit Rebuilders of Kansas get you approved at Rawhide Harley. 100% of all credit applications considered. See rawhideharley.com.
On approved credit.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down. 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
What's up, guys? It's Drew. Well, the neighbors are making noise again upstairs. You probably get an idea for what that means if you've listened to Cody and Gold at all. And all I can say is they might be utilizing Blue Chew. And guess what? Blue Chew can help you, too. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. And Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. If you're getting ready for work in the morning, you might have something to boost your energy a little bit. But when it gets hot and heavy in the bedroom, the only thing that you need is Blue Chew. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. Get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout and just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
The basketball playoffs are here on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on the action. The app is so simple to use. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROAM. Get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get the $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You don't have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We're going to talk plenty of Chiefs draft with Nate Taylor as well in the 1 o'clock hour today. One of our Chiefs insiders from The Athletic going to join us. You guys can watch the show on video as well. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, X. You can subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of the shows here on 96.5 The Fan. So Brett Veach, if you missed it, he started our show today. He had his media availability. He spoke for, 40 minutes before the draft, which is a week from tonight. And we will see you all at the Landing in Liberty. Bink and Chris Sunocero broadcasting live starting at 6. Your chance to win $965 plus a autographed helmet from Jawan Taylor. Hope to see all of you there 1 week from tonight. There's a lot of things that stood out. We talked about the running back comments from Brett Veach, but I want to focus on a few other things. One, adjacent to the draft, but the draft is maybe causing a little bit of a hurdle, and that is, where are things at with Trey Smith and their desire to get a long-term deal done?
Yeah, hopefully we get that done. I mean, there's no lack of interest or will or desire on our end, and we did have Pete, a ton of talk with Torrey and Jimmy, his agents at the Combine. Those conversations continued on to the owners' meetings. And so now also CAA has a ton of draft prospects, and they have a ton going on. So, we've exchanged multiple phone calls, multiple emails. And, my guess is once the draft's over and our focus is back on taking care of the players that are here and trying to get those guys locked up, and CAA on their end. I mean, they have, again, they're one of the leading agencies in regards to the players they produce every year. So I'm sure once things settles down on both ends, we'll be in a position to continue this dialogue and hopefully make some progress there. But there's no secret there. We'd like to get Trey locked up.
So it sounded like once the week or so after the franchise tag was done, they were not getting this deal done before the draft. Essentially, the agency is too busy. Is kind of what I heard, right? They're too busy.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are busy with the draft. Let's get this draft out of the way and let's talk again in May, basically. And we have till July. That's where things are at on the Trey Smith route. We've had a lot of people asking about that, like how much longer? Well, it's not happened for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at least. Yeah.
And I think if you listen to him earlier or later, I don't remember when it took place in the press conference, and that's all up at 965thefan.com. But if you listen, he talked about one. Do you know what area he said was not good? Interior offensive line, and he said it was painful to let go of Joe Thuney. That tells you a little bit where they are on the offensive line. Their plan is Trey Smith and one of the other guys in-house. They don't see a bunch of great guard options outside of there. And once again, mentioned Kingsley. And so I view this as I would have liked it done before the draft, but they also don't. Like, it didn't stop them from buying what they wanted to buy, Gold. They, I think, better than they have in years, maybe it's just the way the free agency laid out, positioned themselves to not have a desperate need. There is no desperate need. I'm not saying they don't need defensive line help, defensive end help, offensive line help, whatever. But there is no position that they could not. They might be the most fully established 53-man roster today in the NFL, or one of the 5 closest to that today. And so they have a little bit of momentum there, which means, yeah, you can wait on Trey Smith. I still think you need to get the job done in order to make all of this make sense. Make it worthy of trading Thuney, make all of this worthy. You have to get Trey Smith signed. You and I both agree. You go through the whole year again. What the hell's the cost going to be next year? I don't want to find out. And can you keep him? Or will he just be a free agent, Gold?
Yeah, and then, the position, like you were saying, just because they can technically take best player available does not mean that we're saying that they have their long-term answer at left tackle. Because I know there's people probably thinking that, well, we just watched the offensive line struggle. What do you mean they don't have an obvious need for – Jalen Moore is going to be the left tackle in 2025. The question is he beyond that? And that's why there still is a chance they take a tackle in the first round. One of the other things that Brett Veach was asked about, though, is what are the chances they trade back? That's always something that fans and we all say, like, oh, just trade back, stockpile picks. Easier said than done.
I certainly have a tendency to be on the aggressive side and move up. Although it's interesting, as I just mentioned to Pete before, the numbers are a little bit down in regards to that top end, usually being 15 to 17. They're more from in that 12 to 14 range. So, and then as I mentioned, definitely the secondary stack is a little bit bigger. So I think that there is probably, just from a sure number standpoint, more of a likelihood that could happen when you have, again, on the front end, the numbers, meaning 7.5 or higher on our grading system being low, but then that next 7.0 to 6.5 grading system, the numbers being higher. I think that from that standpoint, I think that could be in our wheelhouse, and it might make sense to us. So we'll have to see. I think there's always, or at least it worked out that way in the last few years, been one guy. Worthy was one of those guys last year, but we'll see. But I know that I've shown to be more aggressive, but I'm certainly open to it. And if it makes sense for us and we can acquire additional picks, I'd be all for it.
I do understand this notion of, like, he tends to be more aggressive because, like, think about it. You spend 4 months locked into a room watching college athletes play football. You interview them, you talk to coaches, and then he's 4 picks away from where you're going to pick. Do you really want to risk it? And you're like, nah, man, I just kind of want him now. Like, especially in the first round, if he only has 12 or 13 first-round grades on somebody, and you're sitting there at 26, and one of the guys you personally have a first-round grade on is there, and it's 26, why wouldn't you trade with the Rams, right? I do kind of understand the logic. He has just not been a trade-down guy, and this is a good trade-down draft.
But, well, if one of those guys slides from your board, but also if there's only 12 or 13 that you have a grade for, obviously it makes sense that there's a good chance that they're not available then at 31, and so you're looking to trade back. And if you're saying that there's more kind of what I'll call second-tier guys, there's way more depth in that market, if you will, of the draft and the draft class. Like, there's just more of those guys that are just out of the first round than maybe in years past. Does that mean another team is willing to trade up? Are you willing to trade back? I think sometimes we get so into it sounds so simple. It's, why didn't they trade back? They should have traded back. Somebody has to want to trade in. And he also further, we didn't have the full cut, but he also mentioned, that everybody always talks about somebody wanting to trade back in the first round to get a quarterback for the 5th-year option. He's like, yeah, dude, that's never happened.
That was really funny.
He's like, that's never happened. Now it could,
every
but
year
it's never happened.
And it's especially easy. The Chiefs probably have to hear this every year because they're always picking at 31 or 32. Based on the last 5 of the last 6 years, they've either picked 31 or 32. So, they're always at the tail end of the draft, depending on where they are. So every year, he's got to sit there here and say, come on, man, but, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, they might want that guy. What's funny about the 5th-year option at quarterback, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have, because it's not. If you love a quarterback and you take him in the 2nd round and it's gangbusters, you will not care. You will pay them long before the 5th-year option. You will not care that you do not have the 5th-year option attached to them, That only applies to the mediocre quarterbacks you take in which you're hedging your bet and you're not sure. It only exists in the world that you take a first-round pick on Tua and you'd like to buy yourselves a little bit more time to be sure. If you love the dude, you won't care about the 5th-round pick. So it matters, but in a weird way, I actually think I can make, and this, I'm going to sound crazy for this, I actually think you can make an argument that the 5th-round option is actually more important at almost any other position not named quarterback. Because there's a lot of other positions you'd like to buy a 5th year on, have it, extend the time, franchise tag them, and get 6 years out of it. If you got a quarterback you love, you're not talking about 6 years. You're talking about 15. The 5th-year option it matters more for a defensive end than it matters for quarterback in my mind. Because I might try to be buying 6 years out of Karlaftis. I get the 4 in the contract, the 5th-year option. I can franchise him. I get it for 6 years before I got to pay him.
To
cool.
see if Felix is going to work out, any of those
yeah,
things.
a quarterback, if it's working out, you're paying him anyway. Who cares? Who cares?
One of the other things that Brett Veach addressed was just overall depth at positions. We already discussed running back was a position that clearly they think is incredibly deep and basically said, we're taking one. But he also discussed the depth at some other positions.
I think the defensive end is so the defensive line class in general is good. I think that's probably driven more so by the depth at D end. I think there's a lot of D ends, and I think that running backs is certainly I think the deepest class in the draft. A close second would be D end. I think the interior defensive line numbers are I think better than most years, but I don't think they come anywhere close to the D-line depth and the corner depth. I think those two are just wow. I mean, you look at the board and those names go from top to bottom. Interior O-line is light. Corner, I think, is actually decent in the middle rounds. I think D-line is okay, but I don't think it's any more or less than any one particular. I think that where you're getting the big numbers from top to bottom are D end and running backs. And then everywhere else, it's a little bit scattered. Corners, I think, a little meatier in the middle. And then receivers, every year you're going to have numbers. It's just the vision and the plan, how you're going to utilize those guys within your offense. So you're always going to have numbers. I think certainly like last year was an extraordinary class, and there's so many receivers taken high. I don't think you're going to see that this year, but you'll see receivers taken in every round just because they're always plentiful in regards to numbers. So, so I think that when you talk about the D-line, I think that's really getting fueled by the defensive end depth.
Edge guys is why defensive line is getting discussed. Basically what we were saying with the interior, if you want them to take a guy to play opposite Chris Jones, probably going to have to come early in the draft because it's just not as deep.
Yeah.
Edge rushers, you could draft in the 3rd or 4th round and still feel like you're getting somebody.
Honestly, with Chris Jones, if you had to get a better defensive tackle a different year, you might have a year or two to buy yourself time on that. Defensive end is a bigger need. Karlaftis is not under contract. Not that I'm saying he can't get a long-term deal in Kansas City. He certainly can. Veach mentioned that too, and those conversations will take place more in the summer with him and Trent McDuffie. Charles Minihue 1-year deal. You got like a year left on Dana. Felix hasn't worked out to this point. Like you got no long-term answers at defensive end. So this draft's going to line up pretty good. Not bad timing overall, I'll take it. I mean,
mock draft, another
listen
one.
To that timing.
1 week from tonight. The mock drafts will not matter 1 week from tonight. They won't matter anymore.
Thank goodness.
They'll be done.
It'll be over.
Until the early 2026 draft mock drafts.
We'll give you all an update on where we're at for road trip numbers coming up in about 15 minutes for those who might still want to go to Springfield with us. But next week, we'll be at the Landing in Liberty for the draft.
All right, so we're going to go to Bleacher Report for the first time. Brent Sobleski is the person who came up with this mock. This is a third-round prediction based on the latest Bleacher Report scouting department rankings. So this is a fully updated one based on what Bleacher Report does.
They have their own scouting department?
We have a Cody and Gold scouting department, too.
Yeah, it's just Jay Binkley after with a can of dip and a 30 rack. But it's working, man. It's working.
At 31, this is a name that we brought up before. I think this is very early on a second-round pick, but this guy potentially with the need of defensive tackle in particular, the lack of depth there, maybe the Chiefs decided to take this guy, Tyleek Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. And again, it's an Ohio State guy.
Ohio State guy. Somebody else, Ohio State guys.
But Brent mentions the organization appears to have some faith in Jalen Moore after signing that deal, so they transition to defensive line. And one of the guys that's left essentially out of the D tackle grouping that's taken is Tyleek Williams. I do wonder.
Is that a little high for him?
It might be, but I wonder if there's a string of defensive tackles potentially that goes where, kind of like what Brett Veach was saying, they know the edge rusher is deeper. They can maybe wait a little bit. They're going to take interior defensive line if they need one, and as a result, Harmon's gone, Kenneth Grant's gone, Walter Nolan's gone, and the Chiefs are like, look,
although
we need
pick 32, you're going to be sad about, Gold.
I'm just saying, I know Tyleek Williams. We all, you know Tyleek Williams the last time we talked about him on this show? Tyleek Williams is Mr. Quote, girthy lower body with big meaty hands. That is Tyleek Williams. That's when we said that on this show, that's his draft profile. Explosive and violent, punch and release, but girthy lower body with big meaty hands.
Because of the lack of Turk Wharton, they need another defensive tackle.
Does that mean it's more of a important thing for this year, Cody, than edge? Because I know you said edge is
for
the biggest
this
thing.
year. Yes, because they got Charles Omenihu for this year.
So I wonder if because the edge depth is so deep, you can rely on a second round pick or one of the early thirds maybe, and you get an edge rusher that after this year is ready to go when Charles Omenihu leaves, or you decide what to do with Karlaftis. Where now he does mention, Sobleski does mention Turk Wharton leaving. Immediate Turk Wharton replacement can be the long-term guy over the course of time for when Chris Jones is gone. So that was a pick at 31.
Okay, so but at 32, your guy James Pierce Jr. went.
Dang it! So he was on the board.
He was on the board,
and they chose the guy with the big meaty hands instead. Interesting.
So your guy was available. Mine was not. I'm starting to think Derek Harmon was always a pipe dream, and I shouldn't have put him on my crush list at all because he might not even be.
I mean, you can still like a guy that's going to go in the 20s. You know,
when we talk about like draft,
teens.
when we talk about draft crushes, I want them to be realistic because otherwise, Gold can come on here and he can be like, my running back draft crush is Ashton Genty.
That's right.
We're not getting anywhere. We're not serving the audience.
Yeah, sure.
We're not serving the audience by having that conversation. You know?
Second round, pick 63, a name that we've heard before, Ariante Ursary, offensive tackle from Minnesota, a guy that had been mocked in the first round, but now falling at 63. I think you would take it.
The exact Kingsley situation. People have mentioned him at 30, have mentioned him at 31. He slides down to 63, and then you just... So by that regard, by the way, Chiefs fans will hate that pick.
Probably.
Because they will be convinced it is a carbon copy to exactly what they did last year. Guy who got talked about as a fringe first rounder falls all the way down to almost a third rounder, according to the way some people discuss it. And then, you're just praying again. Now, in this case, he doesn't have to start. And so the expectations are a little bit different, although, same thing.
Isn't he? Yeah, this is the local kid, too, Casey Moe. He's Ursary.
So some of the other picks around as well, Harold Fannin Jr. goes right after to the Eagles, just before Dylan Sampson, to the Commanders, Kyle Williams, who Bink loves at 60.
So on Ursary, according to Lance Zierlein, quote, strong, sticky hands keeps rushers from escaping once he's in the web.
Let me tell you something.
He's calling him Spider-Man?
Weakness, tight hips.
A lot of tight hips.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tight hips.
Going to the third round, pick 66, Damian Martinez out of Miami.
That's my third guy. That's my third running back on my board.
Old as hell for a guy coming out of college.
I told you, at running back, I care a lot less because I'm just getting 4 years out of you, and then you can just go
old by NFL standards. He'll be
24.
No, he's younger. He's younger than we think. He's not the guy that was 25.
If you do,
he's 20. He'll be 21 at the start of the season.
Oh, he's not bad.
Yeah, if you look at the running back run, though, Martinez might be one of the best guys left, other than Bachel Tutin goes a little bit later in the third round, but Henderson is gone. Judkins is gone. Hampton, actually, they have going at 35. I don't know if you guys saw that. So the Chiefs have passed on Hampton at this draft. But Caleb Johnson is gone, and so is Dylan Sampson.
We got confused on Damian Martinez. I think yesterday when Bink came in studio, he was saying that we were calling him old, and then now I thought we did call him old, and No,
No.
he's not. He's actually
Must have been someone else we were calling.
Maybe it was Caleb
His
Johnson.
comp is Donta Foreman.
We have been accused of ageism on this show before, so it's not out of the question.
I mean, we've looked at so many different running backs here over the course of time.
All right, who they got at 95?
At 95, this is a new name.
All right.
Okay.
Fans are going to like this because they've texted in this player multiple times. Out of Kansas, Kobe Bryant.
Okay, so
95.
they're taking a kid out of the Kansas City area and a university. Are they not allowed to scout outside of 30 miles?
If he's a good player, he's a good player.
In fairness, Kobe Bryant is.
I'm not anti taking local players,
Ball
but
hawk.
I think
He's a
when we
ball
do
hawk.
these like mock drafts, they end up so local heavy. You're like, that's not how teams draft for the most part.
No, but this
they
is
just
later
take
in the
people
draft.
inside of 30 miles.
But he's also projected to be where this mock draft is.
He's anywhere from 3 to 4 now.
This wouldn't be crazy. No, he obviously played at Kansas, first team All Big 12 for 3 straight years. He would be somebody that in the middle round, I think whether it's a KU player, a K-State player, an MU player, if that's where they're projected, then so be it.
Well,
People brought up Devin Neal, obviously a running back, and Giddens out of K-State. But here's the quote, has plenty of dog in him as a run defender and tackler.
I like that.
You like that?
Well, and based on what Brett Veach said too about corner, like, he sounds really high on the corners. It sound by what Brett Veach said, I don't think
decently high.
If they took a corner in the first 3-4 picks that they have, it wouldn't be a surprise at all. I think he really likes
6 foot 180. Some people say he's got to get a little bit bulkier, but
what's the over under? You know, I see all these mock drafts, and I'm officially feeling like I want to go lower than the. What's the over under right now in Shadur Sanders draft pick?
8.5 or 9.5.
I feel like my best time to bat. I'm going like he's getting picked higher than that. So like I'm officially, I think this is about the right time to bet it before like all the rumors start to circle. I think he ends up going between 3 and 6. Like I think the Raiders are a good trade candidate based on Spytek's history or what the Bucks have done before. Like
That's actually what
I think he could
Sabulski
go.
has.
I think he could go at 3. Like I don't, I'm starting to
Sabulski
think
has the Saints trading up from 9 with the Raiders to get Shadur at 6.
you can still get Sanders if you think stuff about the Giants is not true in terms of that they're happy with what they have and all that. You can get Sanders to go to the Giants at 3 still, like 5-1 odds. I don't think it's terrible to sprinkle some of that. I still think the Saints are the team that he goes to. I'm not buying the Steelers stuff. I'm just not buying it. I think even Bink in his mock draft, he had the Steelers taking Jackson Dart yesterday instead of Sanders because Sanders would have already been off the board.
Brent Sabulski has them taking. This is I don't like this because it's the AFC North, but they have them taking Harmon. Which, of course, they do because the AFC North makes good
Get
picks
after your guy, Joe
other than
Burrow.
the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Cam Hayward next to each other, good heavens. Be a problem. In terms of the other teams in the division, by the way, so Sabulski, again, has the Raiders trading back, getting pick 9 in the trade, and 71, actually. So it looks like, that actually might not be a bad trade for the Raiders, but he has been taking Will Johnson, corner from Michigan.
It's a good pick for them.
Who I think is the best corner in the draft.
Some people think they might take him at 6, so that's not a bad pick.
He's really good. The Broncos at 20. Sabulski has him taking Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, a guy that we've seen mocked to the Chiefs before. Chargers, Walter Nolan at 22.
We're taking some of our guys, man.
They do have
they have a lot of similar needs. Some of the divisional teams have a lot of similar needs.
So Sabulski has them taking Travis Hunter at 2. Then he has him trading back into the first round at 24 with the Vikings to take Jackson Dart. So you get Dart, you get Travis Hunter.
Wow. That's a hell of a draft.
That would be
actually.
a big. I don't know how big of a risk you would call it. I would say it's a substantial risk from the Browns.
I think they have to
give
take
away
a
the
substantial
capital.
risk. They're in such a bad spot. They look like the worst franchise in football. They should be taking chances. What are you going to do? Go from the worst franchise in football to the worst franchise in football? Take a chance. Play Travis Hunter 2 ways. And sign Jackson Dart and make him the day one
Especially
starter.
with how
just
good
see
the
what you
defense
get.
has been over the last 4 or 5 years. And of course, again, Kevin Stefanski is considered one of the best coaches in the league, even though they haven't shown that team-wise because the team hasn't given him the resources.
It's weird. Normally, you're like, hey, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, start on week 1. But last year, Michael Penix drafted in the first round, did not start week 1. What's his name?
J.J.
Jay McCarthy. Even though he got hurt, he was not going to start week 1. I know everybody thinks it's because he got hurt, but no, he was never going to start week 1. Sam Darnold was always starting week 1.
Did not start?
Drake May did not start. So even if the Steelers took Jackson Dart, Mason Rudolph, or the Giants, I'm sorry, it's hypothetical. Russell Wilson still starting week 1 probably for the New York Giants.
And even if it's the Steelers.
Sanders, it still might be. Yeah.
If it's the Steelers, maybe they still run out Mason Rudolph in the first week or 2, and then they just get Jackson Dart acclimated, whereby week 4 or 5, they see where things are at, and then
That's true.
They go to him.
That's another mock draft. Taking a look at it 1 week from tonight. We'll see you guys at the Landing in Liberty. Up next, we'll get to what's trending and talk some more Royals baseball. They have some roster decisions to make. And no, I'm not just talking about what you want them to do in terms of sitting somebody down. Like, actually, numbers-wise, they will have a decision or two to make. What should they do? We'll go over that next, right here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Looking for the best food, drinks, and game day vibes? The Landing Eatery and Pub in Liberty has you covered. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. with great drink specials. Game day buckets, 5 beers or seltzers. Keep the party going Saturday and all day Sunday. Catch every play on over 68 TVs while enjoying our massive 102-item menu. Love live music? Our neon-lit smoking patio has bands Thursday through Sunday. Don't miss out. Check out our daily specials at landingeateryandpub.com.
The 96.5 The Fan ticket window is open. Head to the contest page at 965thefan.com for your chance to score tickets to see Blink 182 with Alkaline Trio at T-Mobile Center Saturday, September 27th. Must be 18 to enter and win. Good luck.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This is the run my own business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey Bank and Cross First Bank. Together, we'll help ensure your dreams and possibilities become moments. Through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Together, we're building extraordinary impact in business, wealth, and community. Busey Bank and Cross First Bank. Member FDIC.
Underdog just became one of the best places to make entries during the basketball playoffs with their Extender promo. With the Extender, you can play your way into increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boosts. Underdog is now available to play in Missouri, and their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. All you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, and you can mix and match across other sports like I like to do. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BOB to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BOB. Must be 18 and over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. If you're like me and you're trying to break through that boring lunch routine, I've got the option for you. I discovered lunch at Hy-Vee Market Grill. Forget the after-lunch fast food coma. The Hy-Vee Market Grill offers fast and fresh options with made-to-order burgers, salads, sandwiches, and wraps like the 3-cheese patty melt, the crispy chicken or Cobb salad, BLT or tenderloin sandwich, and my personal favorite, the peanut butter bacon burger. For high quality and great value, freshen up your lunch routine at the Hy-Vee Market Grill today.
Hop into Hy-Vee for all your Easter needs, like baskets, candy, chocolate bunnies, and more. Treat your family to Easter brunch at the Market Grill. Just $24.99 for adults, $7.99 for children, and kids 5 and under eat free. Staying home? Try Hy-Vee's Easter meal deal for just $30. Get all the fixings you need to feed your duckling spiral sliced ham, russet potatoes and gravy, green bean casserole, and bakery fresh rolls. Make this your most excellent Easter ever only at Hy-Vee.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
The basketball playoffs are here on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on the action. The app is so simple to use. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROAM. Get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get the $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hey, it's Cole Reagans, and this is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Royals baseball.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, and Odyssey Sports Station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We start with the Royals, who got swept by the Yankees in the Bronx. They're going to start a 4-game series tonight against the Detroit Tigers, trying to salvage this road trip that has only seen them find 1 win so far. Still have 4 to go. This is even a bigger series, one, because it's the Detroit Tigers in division, but also, as we've discussed and we will continue to discuss, knowing where you're at, even though it's April 17th, and from a fan buy-in perspective, this feels like an awfully big series beginning tonight. The Royals will have Michael Lorenzen to start it off for Game 1 tonight right here on 96.5 The Fan.
Next up on What's Trending, the Kansas City Star confirming something we discussed on the show yesterday, that the Royals are again looking at the possibility of a stadium site that would land in the North Kansas City area. That being down there in their downtown area. It used to be a bowling alley there, at least on one side. They could not confirm how deep those talks were, according to Kansas City Star, but that they've met with or talked to the family that owns all the land down there about what that would look like to explore that possibility again. I think this probably tells you something pretty obvious in this point, which is they feel like the chances of Jackson County aren't as good as they once were. And I told you yesterday when we talked about this, I still think this doesn't give them downtown baseball, but it gives them closer to downtown baseball and more the Wrigleyville thing that they had pitched originally. So I'm interested to follow this. This would obviously be in my backyard. Not quite, but I mean, it'd be pretty close to my house if they decided to do a stadium there. I just want to know where they're going.
And a lot of people, I think most people, are just sick of it and want some resolution. Perhaps we're closer to that. I remember when they first, many years ago, when they first said, the Royals that is, hey, our plans for the future. They said in or around downtown. Here's your around part, if in fact this is where they go. But I think way too early for anybody to say definitively this is where they're going. It's just that Clay County is once again in the picture, involved, maybe strongly, and maybe you eventually have enough with Jackson County. I'm talking about mainly with knowing that something may not happen because of Frank White or whoever, and the inability to get something done.
I got to be honest. I think they got a better chance now than the first time they did the rendering for it.
Well, sure, time.
I think that they got a better shot now than the previous time we had discussed it. There is some people who want Frank White recalled to try to make the negotiation with the Royals more favorable in Jackson County. So God knows, man, we might be in for a wild couple of months of stadium news.
Elsewhere, we go to the NBA, the play-in tournament. It's been terrible. Let's just call it like it is. The Heat won 109-90 against the Bulls. The Mavericks got a 120-106 win against the Kings. Tonight, Heat, Hawks, Mavs, Grizzlies. It's been terrible. We always joked when people were bashing the NFL towards late in the year. The games weren't good. They were like, bad product, great marketing. Well, that's what the NBA play-in tournament is. Bad product, great marketing. It's been terrible. It sucks.
When you let a bunch of teams that are
Grizzlies game was great. That went down to the wire.
Same thing. One out of like 4 or 5.
I was told every game has to be great. Otherwise, just good marketing.
Yeah.
I was told every game has to be great.
I will say this is part of the problem with doing the play-in tournament is you let in a lot of
I know. I was just
mediocre product into the thing. The Bulls were 39-43 this year. They weren't a good basketball team, but you can do the play-in tournament, so those kind of teams get in. Next up on What's Trending, we'll play you some highlight stuff coming up at 12:30. But officially announced, Lee Corso is retiring from College Game Day after 38 years in the biz. Man's about to be 90 years old. Ooh. He's retiring after 38 years of doing it. Lee Corso, all-time legend, hanging it up.
He'll be missed.
I mean, he is the person I think
the face of that entire show.
I was going to say,
yeah.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. You put it better, but let's he's the person. If you
he
name
made Saturday
a person
mornings.
on College Game Day, I'm thinking Lee Corso.
Yeah, absolute legend. But at the same time, it's more than time to move on, right? That's just the reality. Anybody that's watched that show, it's been a rough watch the last couple of years for him, right? I think it's incredible the relationship him and Kirk Herbstreit clearly have, and Kirk takes care of him, and it's honestly like really at times even touching and emotional to see that connection. Mm-hmm. But from a TV product, it's been a little rough to watch for 4 or 5 years at least, just in terms of him. And look, guy's going to turn 90 in August. I mean, it's an unbelievable run for Lee Corso. Unbelievable. Lastly, some news around the division in the AFC West. According to a report out of Las Vegas, the Raiders could look to trade quarterback Aiden O'Connell for a day 3 pick. Well, yeah, Geno Smith's their guy. They would be thrilled, I'm sure, to get anything for Aiden O'Connell at this point.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold.
Don't forget, May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd, we're going to continue to remind you, the Cody and Gold road trip, the second version of the Cody and Gold road trip. Last time we did this for Bobby Wood Jr. Now we're going to go watch Cags. Not all the way to Fayetteville. If you've missed it, we're heading to Springfield, Missouri. We'll take on the Springfield Cardinals. Got a road game because the timing worked out for us. Saturday, May 3rd, game's at 6 o'clock. We're going to meet at Harbell's at 3:30 for those who just want to get a drink or who want to purchase our CAG shirts. They're available for $10. We're just trying to cover our cost. You want to know the truth? We can get you that link if you've already bought tickets, but if you want tickets, go to 965thefan.com. You can find out more information there. We already have, including the me, you, Drew, and Dusty from the morning shows coming. Over 80 people going down to Springfield to watch Jack Caglione play. 96.5 The Fan for more details. Really, really looking forward to a couple of other cool things as well, right? Somebody's going to get through the first pitch.
One of our listeners going to have a chance to throw out the first pitch at that game right there in front of everybody. Going to be a ton of fun.
We'll be rooting hard for you.
Yeah, the last time we did a road trip was for Bobby Wood Jr., so it's fitting we're doing it for Jack Caglione as well. I've been wanting to do this again, and so it's all come together, and we appreciate everyone. We've had a great turnout already. We just announced this a couple days ago, and we already have, as Cody said, over 80 people involved in the road trip, and make sure you get the CAG shirt if you want one of those. Just send us a text, 913-586-7965. If you're going on the road trip,
you have to pick it up in Springfield.
To pick them up in Springfield. This is for people on the road trip only. Let us know if you want to order a T-shirt and already have purchased tickets for the road trip. But yeah, man, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun here in a couple weeks.
Do you think he's going to hit one of those really monster home runs while we're there? Last time we went to go see Bobby, we were like 0 for 4.
Yeah. I have no idea. He hasn't hit a home run in a couple days, so no.
He's like 0 for his last 7 or 8.
He is human.
2 for his last 13 or something.
He is human.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is why you and I were pretty confident.
Stopped updating the board. You notice that?
Cowards move. We're still going down to see him,
well, Dusty's coming on the trip, too. But Caglione stats on the board, Dusty's been updating it, except he stopped after
9
stopped
games.
Hitting home runs. Come on, Dusty.
How many games has he played now?
I don't know.
Maybe he's just going to do it once a week. You know, it is a lot to update it every day. I actually give Dusty a pass.
Someone says, does Cags know we're coming? He will by the time we make this happen.
I mean, I don't know how to tell him. I don't have like his cell phone number.
Yeah, let me just text him real quick.
How would we like to inform Jack Caglione that we're all coming down to watch him play in Springfield?
I believe the Northwest Naturals have been informed.
Some of you might drive back. For those who don't, imagine we'll probably find a local watering hole after the game. Obviously, we told you we're meeting somewhere beforehand. Right now, Cags games, 11 games in. Gold, you ready? Yeah. He's hitting 244, 321 on base percentage, 489 slug. No shame in those numbers, but they're not like astronomical at just this moment. Still 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, and a couple of doubles.
Just making sure he stays there till after May 3rd. Perfect.
A lot of people saying you got to keep an eye on Dusty for that Cags autograph. If I can get a Cags autograph for the garage sale, I will. Can we get him to autograph one of the Cags shirts?
Make sure you're not, you're not pushing over kids.
Well,
or
someone on the text
away,
line said, make sure he doesn't push over kids to get one. Someone says to contact Cags, there's this thing called X. We just went through the naturals. We'll make sure he knows we're showing up. Does that mean anything necessarily? I don't know. I mean, Bobby Wood Jr., when we went to see him, they were aware we were there, but it didn't really change a whole lot.
He didn't come out and pound beers with us in the stands or anything, you know.
All you need is an acknowledgement. All you need is an acknowledgement.
I mean, look, with the amount of people that have signed up for the road trip already, and if people continue to get the shirts, and where everybody's wearing CAG shirts, it will be hard to miss. So anyway, hope you guys will join us in Springfield in a couple Saturdays for our Cags, Cody and Gold road trip. Thinking of the Royals, let's talk about the big league club. They have some roster decisions to make it, and I'm not even talking about the decisions on Renfroe and Melendez directly, but there is just numbers game that's going to come to play. Yep. Mark Canha is scheduled to be eligible at least from the IL. Now, could they do a rehab assignment thing or extend that out or something? Sure, I guess. But Mark Canha is scheduled, I think, Saturday to be eligible. You would think they will recall him from his injury rehab, or at least his injury time on the injured list. So, okay, there's one potential move that has to happen. I also wonder, Tyler Tolbert, who's been really effective on the base pass. Well, right now you're really not getting on base. Do you need 2 guys off the bench that can pinch run? Do you need to bring up a bat? Do you say, hey, it's nothing you've done wrong. You've been a weapon for us, but we got to get another bat off the bench. And Tolbert's not a bat. He's speed. So is that where there's a move and John Rave gets called up, Cody, from AAA? But it's not necessarily that they're sending down Melendez or DFAing Hunter Renfroe, but that's the corresponding move, because if they're going to bring up Mark Canha, what's the move? Is it going to be an outfield move for an outfield move? Is it going to be that they just send down Tolbert and that's the quick fix for it?
I mean, first, Tolbert's kind of the obvious one. And this is not meant to be a knock on him. He has actually been a better consistent base stealer than Dairon Blanco, and Blanco's been near automatic. But they trust, and you and I both know this, they trust Blanco to play more, like to just play in the outfield more. And based on and based on the fact that MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe still aren't hitting, I mean, at least you get speed, right? So you're taking at least some kind of element into the game that you don't have right now. So, like, that's the first one. I will say, based on the way he was hitting before he got his injury running into the wall, he was hitting better than any other person in the lineup besides Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Garcia. So he needs to...
Canha's coming back, yeah.
He immediately needs to be in the lineup. That leaves 2, and I mentioned Tolbert for 1. I'm guessing it's just Waters. Look, had he come
multiple errors in the field.
Had he come up, like, as much as I would say take the chance now and let's see where it gets you, if Waters had come up and gone 6 for 15, man, we're probably having a different conversation. But he looked like every other bat in the lineup, and you don't have to upset the apple cart by just calling up Waters. They do have a couple of decisions, like you pointed out, but my guess is because it's April 17th, they'll do the layup decisions, which is Waters and Tolbert, you weren't here before, and just, hot trade them out and just be like, well, it's all about the same. You had mentioned that this is a huge series. That you and I both agreed that they really need to go 2-2.
Bare minimum split
against the Detroit Tigers. If they lose tonight,
oh boy,
it's time for a fight. Okay? And I know.
A fight?
Fight. It's time for a fight.
You want some fire.
Dust up, yeah. It's time to start a dust up. Pluck a guy, start a little scramble, talk some trash. It's time to you need some energy back in however you got to get it. It's time for a fight. I'm calling on Vinny Pasquantino to start a fight tomorrow if they lose tonight.
I think I know.
If they lose tonight, it's fight time.
It's way more likely that Q just finally has enough with a bad call from an ump and he gets tossed than it is you actually seeing a fight. I think I can see Q could get tossed if they drop 1 or 2, but they're also not. They've lost 3 in a row. How many times did they lose 3 in a row last year? Do we know?
Not very often.
I know,
a couple of times, but not very often.
The point is, like, it was going to happen. It's just the problem is it's happening on April 17th.
You want to fight bad enough, Cody. I feel like Gold, this is going to be our first song of the season with like a punk rock. Cody just screaming at the top of his lungs that Cody wants to fight.
Screamo song? Oh,
yes,
God.
Dude, Screamo song?
I think that's where we're going. I think that's where we're going.
About what? Just about
I've been in a mosh,
about offense?
I spent a lot of time in a mosh pit in my youth, Drew. I'm prepared for this moment.
Cody wants a fight. He needs Vinny to swing on. That's what the song's going to be about. Cody wants a fight.
Man. Okay, so I need some song suggestions. I'm not guaranteeing I'll do this, but I will say I want to choose it from my first ever concert, which included Korn, Limp Bizkit, a song from one of these artists. Korn, Limp Bizkit, Rammstein, or Ice Cube. Those are really your choices.
What's the what do you the offense is obviously the biggest issue with this baseball team right now. Nobody's denying that. What's the fight gonna? What's that do?
I just think that, like, right now, you need something. You need to think
like throwing a punch is going to activate the offense.
What it does is it has you thinking about fighting and not thinking about hitting. Okay? You want to put it pretty simple?
All right.
You're thinking about something else.
All right.
You're not thinking about swinging and missing or hitting a line drive to another player. You're thinking about fighting their ass. That's what it is. It's just thinking about something else. I'm looking for look. They win tonight. I'll call off the dogs. Right. I'm not asking for a fight.
So they're a loss away from a fight in your mind.
They're one loss away from a fight.
Okay. Look, I think the frustration level from the fan base is very, very high, and clearly the frustration level has to be getting there with this entire offense because it's not just it really other than Bobby and maybe Michael, this is an offensive wide problem. And that's why, despite Melendez and Renfroe being in the crosshairs and getting all the attention and get rid of them, yada, 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 and that they're not performing well, no kidding. The bigger problem are the fact that Vinny and Salvi and India and Massey are not hitting. That's the biggest issue. Those were the guys that were always going to lead to success. It was never going to be like, oh, Vinny, Salvi, and India and Massey weren't going to hit, but Renfroe and Melendez were going to carry this offense, guys. No, it was never going to be that. The problem is nobody's hitting. But the main 4 or 5 guys that have to hit for this team not to be a below 500 baseball team, which they are currently, they're not hitting. That's the biggest issue with this team. It's not the guys that everybody's been talking about.
I mean, it's certainly not the pitching staff. They've been gangbusters. Yeah. And I understand like the one run. You watch Schreiber give up a tank to Aaron Judge. Lots of people give up home runs to Aaron Judge. It turns out he's hit a lot of them over the last couple of years. And inevitably, you and I feel the same way. That's not the problem. The problem is not that in the last 3 games, they gave up 4 runs in each of the games. That's it. They only gave up 4 runs to one of the league's best offenses in Major League Baseball each of the last 3 games and lost all 3 games. That's at bare minimum supposed to be at least 1 win. 1, man. I'm not saying it's like 3 wins or 2 wins, but it should be at least 1 win. If you hold them to 4 runs each of the 3 games, the problem is the top of the order. The problem is India's cooled off. And maybe he's just not like, he had the little injury thing. Maybe he's just not, they just started putting him back in the field. Maybe he's not right. Vinny, maybe it's the bat speed thing. I don't know what all the problems are for each individual
It's all happening at once. I'll tell you that. It's all happening at once out of the gate in 2025. It's led to this offense.
The truth is, we should be thanking every day. Thank God for the pitching, or this would be a 5-win baseball team. Like,
sure.
Thank you for pitching as well as you are, because otherwise we would be in full panic over what we were looking at from the Royals. And versus this, I can be like, okay, pitching's good. Can India and Vinny and Massey and Salvi all have 1 hit tonight? Because I'll be honest, I think they probably win a baseball game tonight if those guys all have at least 1 hit. Yeah. Like each guy gets their own, right? And then Bobby, I'm not even throwing him in the conversation.
The last 2 nights, they've actually jumped out and got the lead first. The last 2 nights. This hasn't been a scenario where like, because the pitching's been so great, where, you've dug yourself a hole and it seems insurmountable after giving up 2 runs in the first 2 innings. No, what's happened, they've gotten the early lead, then the pitching has still been pretty darn good, and anytime an opponent gets to 4 runs, the game's over. If they get to 4 runs tonight, you think the game's over.
Yeah,
that's what the offense, they have not won, right? Have they won a game when an opponent scores 4 runs? Maybe 1?
I don't know. The Tigers, somebody gave us the stats. I think the Tigers have scored 4 runs or at least 4 runs in 68% of their games.
And they've lost 2 in a row.
So I don't know if that stat makes you feel any better. What's funny is, like, if they won 3 out of 4, you realize they'd just be tied with the Tigers, essentially?
Of course. Things change quickly
in
baseball.
It's just like,
very quickly.
I'm not
quickly
saying
on the positive end.
But
that's why it's a big series,
crazy.
Cody. Right, you're right. Like, it's a big series because it can change so quickly on the positive end, but also if they lose 3 out of 4 to the Tigers, we're coming back on Monday talking about this team coming off a road trip in which they went 2-8.
The only way to salvage the entire road trip is to win 3 or 4 out of the 4 games. But I'm looking at individual series. And for this series, you and I are with each other. 2-2. Time to stabilize a little bit. You and I are still not panicking. I'm not in panicking mode, nothing like that. Let's get 2-2. Let's right the ship a little bit, score some runs, feel a little bit better about yourself, and then everything can just kind of breathe a little.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll talk more about Lee Corso's decision to retire from game day and some of the best moments throughout his time. And obviously, all 3 locals have been featured on that show over the last 38 years as well. And we'll get a random question of the day. But thinking of the locals, I want to give some props, actually, to Missouri basketball, what they're doing.
Did you feel dirty saying that sentence?
Cody gave me a weird look. Cody gave me a weird look.
Missouri basketball.
Cody gave me a weird, Cody gave me a weird look. I think I'm actually getting a headache. And I think actually some chills and cold sweats as I said it. Woo. They are doing something that is happening throughout college basketball, collegiate sports, but it looks like they will be, as far as I can tell, the first of the 3 locals to do it. That is a report out of PowerMizzou.com, which is that they're going to hire a general manager for their basketball program. This is the first local. I know KU wants to do it. I tried to do some research. I don't believe K-State has one for college basketball. And this is something that's happening across collegiate sports because of NIL. And you need someone that can manage kind of the NIL portion of it, help with fundraising, have ties to your team. Now, I don't know who Missouri is going to hire. They haven't announced that yet. You know, a former basketball player from the university would make a ton of sense, right? But this is very smart for Dennis Gates and the Missouri Tigers, and I hope Kansas does it as well. I think that's part of their issue right now. I think Kansas State clearly should do it as well. This will be commonplace and no big deal in like 5 years or 3 years, but Missouri is the first one that's looking at it. Yeah,
I guess part of it is what's funny to me is this is like the first team I feel like Drew, you follow college sports more closely, so you can correct me if I'm just like I'm not looking at it close enough. This is the first time I watched someone post this like it's on Indeed. Doesn't everyone else just kind of like announce it?
Yeah.
Hasn't every other university just been like, it's this dude who used to play for us or this dude?
Well, I think what happened normally, they do.
They just posted it like it's a job Drew can apply for.
Yeah, I think.
Wait a second.
I believe the context, though, wasn't it that like Dennis Gates was asked about it and he said, this is something we're looking at doing. It's kind of, I don't, I believe that was the context of it. But yes, normally.
Because Carrington's going to be all over it.
He's going to be the GM of Missouri basketball.
I wonder. I think this is.
He should apply. Honestly, that'd be a great, at the very least, a great radio bit. Carrington should apply and see if he can get an interview.
To your point, Gold, I think that KU doing this in terms of it helping out your head coach, where, I mean, Jerome Tang the exact same way, but it seems like Jerome Tang is very much more involved. I know Bill Self is too with the NIL stuff and all of it, but it would relieve Bill Self of some not worry, but of some stress of trying to deal with all of the ins and outs of the program, where if you bring somebody in, whoever it may be, to Kansas, and it's a guy that Bill Self trusts, hey, I need some help in regards to building up this roster. I want to focus on the coaching part, and that's what I want, but I need you to help me, assist me in landing players. It should be easier because it's KU, but being able to do that, not that it extends Bill Life's coaching life in a way, but I think it makes it easier for him to deal with, okay, this is who I have coming in. I know how I'm going to run my system. Come and go out and get a kid like this for me. Don't worry about me being involved in that process. It makes it easier.
They're typically bigger names too that in these roles. I mean, we've talked about Stanford on the football end. Obviously, it's Andrew Luck. There's some that are more, I think, ceremonial than actual job. Like Max Crosby is the assistant GM at his alma mater. He's still playing in the NFL. He's obviously not going to be in the day-to-day.
No, just glad hands, shake some hands.
Yeah, Trey Young. Like, I could see, if you're Kansas, Frank Mason type guy, Missouri, I don't know, Damari Carroll or our guy Jared Sutton. How about let's make a pitch for him? Stuff like that. I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like those are the type of people
really
I think that would be
scout.
Yeah. Somebody who played, they're invested in the school, the program, and they have time.
I just felt like the other people had mostly just been doing the we just tell you who the person is. This is not like an open job. Now look, it's a public university. Maybe the other ones I've seen come up didn't have the same hiring practices.
Yeah.
I imagine in a public university, you technically have to.
Well, yeah, that's why we always joke when a football job, when a coach gets let go, a football job technically is listed, and people
can't apply.
Jokingly apply or whatever. Someone says KU Lance on the text line, said they could bring in someone like Jock Vaughn. These are all type of names.
Easy. But yeah, I think from the Missouri, and they got plenty of reliable players. I think going with the current NBA guy is actually the better model because it's a part-time gig anyway.
You got to have somebody
it's
else.
hard for Missouri
You got to have somebody else.
Maybe it's a couple. Maybe because in Max Crosby, he's the assistant GM. Yeah. So you pair it up. Look, Andrew Luck just took the job and he's really doing the job.
He retired from football years ago.
That's a little bit he's doing the job in a way different than I think some of these other general managers these teams are looking at are doing. So just a slightly different angle.
All right, coming up next, we'll talk more about Lee Corso announcing his retirement, and we'll get to the random question of the day right here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
The grass patch, hound flowers. I'm talking redbuds, dogwoods, begonias, lilacs, marigolds, pansies, impatient daisies, and mom's not the word. Come on down to the grass patch. The grass patch, high on grass. Come on down to the grass patch. The grass patch, high on grass. We'll roll out the turf for you.
What's up, guys? It's Drew. Well, the neighbors are making noise again upstairs. You probably get an idea for what that means if you've listened to Cody and Gold at all. And all I can say is they might be utilizing Blue Chew. And guess what? Blue Chew can help you, too. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. And Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. If you're getting ready for work in the morning, you might have something to boost your energy a little bit. But when it gets hot and heavy in the bedroom, the only thing that you need is Blue Chew. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. Get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout and just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
During the NBA play-in tournament, FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. Join FanDuel today. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists to who you think will get a double-double, who you think will make the first basket of the game. FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, even after a game tips off, you can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win real big. So visit FanDuel.com. Use my promo code KFNZ to get in on all the NBA play-in tournament action. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 in President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued with nominal drawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Raise the case. GamblingHelp.com.
Living with chronic joint pain is like trying to get comfortable on a cactus sofa. Nothing feels good. And forget trying to do the things you enjoy this spring, like golfing, hiking, and tennis. You're just trying to get by. I want you to know something. The medical pros at QC Kinetics right here in Kansas City are on the case and focused to finally get you the relief you need. They've already treated tens of thousands of patients around the country with regenerative treatments that help calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, and your back. With QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you your life back without surgery, without drugs, and without any downtime. Curious if you'd be a candidate for these treatments? No problem. The consultation is totally free, and they're happy to take a look to see if they can help you finally get the relief that you deserve. Call now and find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without chronic joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299.
Don't let clogged drains slow you down. Call Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter today for our $79 mainline drain clearing special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,500 5-star reviews ensures your peace of mind. Visit callhamilton.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
When I started watching my favorite team as almost Andy Reid, I couldn't get out of the parking lot due to my new popularity. Renner Garage Door has an offer that's just as popular. $100 maintenance check to keep your door running smooth. Get a free replacement quote. Renner carries top brands like Deldon, Amar, and LiftMaster. Family owned since 1956. Call or visit rennerdoor.com. Renner forward and back.
RENNER. You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in the rinse change. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll get to the random question of the day. We're also 25 minutes away from having our guy Nate Taylor from The Athletic join us in studio. He was on that media call this morning that you heard from Brett Veach talking about the draft. We'll see what stood out to Nate. If you got a little insight from that, we'll talk more about the draft as a whole with Nate Taylor coming up in just a bit. You guys can interact with us, as always, on the Jays Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. We mentioned it during What's Trending. Lee Corso was announced today, longtime voice of College Game Day, is going to retire after 38 years. His final episode, his final live Game Day show is going to be in week 1 of this upcoming college football season. He turns 90 in August.
That's crazy to do media that long in general. 38 years in general is kind of crazy.
They haven't announced the game either, but in all likelihood, it's Texas at Ohio State in week 1, which is where he started, ironically.
Beautiful.
So you bookend with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, he's in that category of all-time legends in a sport, like the face of the sport, helped grow the sport. Like you mentioned, Drew, earlier, like him, Dick Vitale, there's others that you give them credit for just being great ambassadors of the game, in this case, college football. You put together a little montage because he's had so many unbelievable moments on air, and here's a couple of them.
All right, good pick. I'll tell you one thing. Buckeyes! Boom! Let me tell you something. Ever since I've been in this town, everybody says to me, Corso, you're stupid. You always pick the wrong team. Pick Auburn to lose. Okay? Auburn loses. You wanted it? You wanted it? You got it. Willie the Wildcat. Go Kansas State. Forget it. You what do you mean? No. All right, here.
The Purple Cows.
Purple cows. Oh, Purple Cows. I would live in Athens if I didn't live in Orlando. I would have gone to Georgia if I didn't go to Florida State. But that dog is ugly. Give me this thing here. That's an ugly dog. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. Not so fast, my friends. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. How can you pick against SMU? How did you give that any credence? Let me tell you something.
There's a bunch of claimed.
These people don't give
You guys, just listening, you can probably picture a lot of those memories, those moments. Lee Corso going to retire after 38 seasons. And yeah, look, it's time. You know, anybody's watched the last couple of years, he's obviously, I mean, he's 90 years old. He's about to be 90 years old. Obviously is not as sharp as he once was, but I think Kirk Herbstreit, the way if you guys have followed his social media, the way his relationship and the way he's basically...
He treats him like a grandfather. He
helped him
protects
along. Yeah, he protects him on air in moments, you know, that could be really embarrassing for Corso or look really, you know, he tries to basically kind of talk him through. That's why he obviously needs to retire, but the moments on air were pretty special over the years, and even recently with the way Kirk Herbstreit has kind of handled it.
Yeah, it's like you could hang up on the at least 5 years probably.
Yeah.
You know, but instead, it's easier like on a day like this, be like, damn, what a run. Mm-hmm. And the way I view Corso is really important because he came around at a time in which people didn't think of media quite the same way. And he understands that his job is to keep you entertained. He is an entertainer, right? And so he did that better than anyone else in the college football scene and anybody on that show. I'm not even saying like Reese Davis or Kirk Herbstreit or some of these other guys who've been a part of this are, but like he's the entertainer. Like they're going to be missing something and have been missing something since he hasn't been quite the same. And obviously they've reduced his amount of time on air and kind of were careful with it. And it's always a difficult thing because we all agree when somebody has done it that long, they kind of deserve the chance to go out on their own, but also like to what extent? And like you said, you don't want to like have them embarrass themselves or, run into a problem with that. I don't know. He's an all-timer. He is probably the first broadcaster I think of at all. If you ask me college, like the first, if you say college football, I think Lee Corso first. He made as far as like broadcasters go. Not football.
I got you. Yeah.
He made it worth watching, Saturday mornings and even, it was a big deal if game day was coming to town, just because obviously you're the game of the week and everything. But knowing that you could see Corso make the headgear pick, it just made it that much more special to be able to. I mean, even if I didn't watch all the game day, I knew that Eastern time, 11:45, I had to get to my TV because they were making the picks, and I wanted to see Corso put on the headgear.
Vital for college basketball, Corso for college football, the two unbelievable ambassadors. And someone said, is he already retired? Technically not. Corso will retire in August for that one game. So he's going to retire.
He's going to retire. And he didn't give us 15 years notice like, is that Nance? Who was it that said?
Nance was asked. Yeah, Nance was just asked about like how he would like to go out and basically had a whole script already figured out.
Yeah. I'm just obviously he wasn't like making his announcement. He was responding.
I do
it was
think
just funny. It was funny.
Someone says all-timer McAfee's ready to fill the spot. I mean, clearly for the last couple of years they've brought McAfee on, and he is the goofier.
He's their plan for the entertainer.
Yeah, for sure, and he's been great at it. Everybody has their opinion about McAfee, but he's been great
Still
on
not
College
the same,
Game Day.
but yeah.
He's been terrific. Thinking of Pat McAfee, do you see who he's interviewing right now? Guess who called in?
Oh, I did see.
His
Aaron
boy,
Rodgers.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers called in and said on the Pat McAfee show.
Oh, he
minutes
finally
ago,
announced he's going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, he has not. He has not.
So he announced his retirement.
No, he hasn't announced that
It is April
either.
17th, after all.
He hasn't. He said, quote, I told he was talking about teams that he talked to. This is Pat McAfee show from Aaron Rodgers. I told every single one of the teams, it ain't about the money. I said, I'll play for $10 million, whatever.
By the way, the league minimum, I want to be clear, the league minimum is less than $10 million.
I think he just...
So it's about the money a little.
That's nitpicking. He was just throwing out... That's
okay.
That's just nitpicking.
Right.
He just threw out a number. It's an even number. He said, quote, I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. Retirement could still be a possibility. Focus on personal life. So he hasn't made up his mind. Nothing has really changed. It's still a waiting game. That's where things stand. I'm convinced... So this is a week out from the draft. Part of me is convinced that next Thursday, on the day of the draft, he'll make a decision, so then the story will be all about him on draft day. But I could be wrong.
I mean, doesn't he have to... Like, are the Steelers really okay with going into an NFL draft not knowing whether or not they have a starting quarterback for this year?
They believe that he's going to ultimately choose them.
For real?
But there's more and more thinking that they're going to either draft... If Sanders falls, or they'll draft Jackson Dart, and that'll be their backup plan. Otherwise, Mason Rudolph probably start in week 1. Yeah.
I see. I'm looking at the clips now. He also said he didn't hold anyone hostage and he wasn't holding out for Minnesota. And I don't believe that.
I'll say in fairness to him, though,
I think
it's
he
not
was
often that it's not often that I defend Aaron Rodgers, but
it's pretty rare.
I don't know
Aaron
Rodgers.
First you're complimenting basketball, now you're defending Aaron Rodgers. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know
what's sick.
I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm breaking out in the sweat this hour. I'm not sure what is going on.
Would you like some food you don't like? You want to get like in a groove?
I don't know what's going on, but I'll defend him on this. I don't actually think he's holding anybody hostage. At some point in time, the Steelers, you got to run your damn organization. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, you run your organization. He has no ties to your organization. You cannot let him hold you hostage. You needed to go and pivot earlier or still draft a quarterback. So actually, that's more on the Steelers. I actually don't think it's on Rodgers. It's different than if Rodgers was under contract still with a team, and then it's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, that's different. That's holding a team hostage. He's not under contract for the Steelers. You know, they have to roll the dice on what their belief is. I actually don't put that one on him. But I'm convinced he wants to be the center of attention, obviously, and so it wouldn't surprise me if he does something on draft day.
I do think that the Vikings thing is just, maybe it's not the way he's purporting it, but I mean, it made sense, too. I don't even blame him for this. The Vikings were clearly his top choice. And now he's wrestling between he knew if he went to Minnesota, dream scenario, right? Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, a great offensive coach. Like it was tailor-made to win then, right now, this second. He knows if he goes to the Steelers, he's like, it probably works. Pickens and Metcalf and, TJ Watt, it probably works. But he's not as sure that it works. That's why I think he's wrestling with retirement. He doesn't want to go out there and embarrass himself again. He spent the last 2 years of a Hall of Fame career. I still think he'll get in the Hall of Fame.
Of course. Yeah.
But he spent the last 2 years of a Hall of Fame career doing nothing, being meaningless from a football perspective. I don't think he wants to roll out a 40-year-old body into nothing again. I think he wants to do it with an actual chance to win a Super Bowl.
But if you're him,
he should take league minimum, by the way.
If you're him, you saw Russell Wilson have success there a year ago in Pittsburgh, and so you're telling me that you can't even have that level of success anymore? I think he can, by the way. But we've discussed this over and over, whether it's Rodgers, whether it's Jackson Dart, whether it's Mason Rudolph, whether it's trading for Kirk Cousins, they're not a Super Bowl contender. And in this city, in terms of how we talk about teams, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think he can talk himself into it with Pittsburgh, but I wouldn't think they are, sure.
Like playoff team, sure. I mean, Mike Tomlin's a playoff team every year. But being in the grouping of Kansas City or Buffalo or Baltimore or maybe even Cincinnati, no.
I wonder how much he actually is weighing the potential of the Vikings, because as much as he didn't, it seemed like him and Brett Favre just did not mesh very well. For him to have the exact same career path, I don't know if that would actually be something that bothers him.
Again, all you got to do is get the welfare fraud and some indecent pictures, and you're square.
Well, hopefully he doesn't go that route.
He's not going to go to Minnesota, so we won't follow the exact path.
Correct.
I think ESPN, Netflix, one of them, I can't remember who, is putting out a documentary on Brett Favre's welfare situation.
Really?
Well, was it Netflix? It might have been.
I think it was Netflix.
What's it called?
It actually was an interesting name. I think it was related to the fraud.
Something about Mississippi State. I don't remember. I think it was about the fraud, not about the. Yeah, it was more about that.
Netflix will release a new tell-all documentary. Oh, it's okay. It's called The Fall of Favre.
No,
but it's going to tell the story of Favre's pursuit of Jen Sturger and his involvement in the welfare case. I am
kind of interested in this doc.
It's not going to be about football, evidently.
I know we're kind of maxed out on sports docs, but This one might drag me in.
It's not even about sports, it sounds like. It's more about, it's just the athlete
Yeah.
profile is sports related.
Yeah, it's just it intrigues me enough to be curious. Let's get to a random question.
Random question.
If I can find it in my hotkey list. I'm
The
sorry.
day. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Results every week, then receive free support for life online at awaken180weightloss.com. So for you, Drew, for you, Gold, over in the text line 913-586-7965, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, always let you know. Live stream the show. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe on YouTube. Makes it easy. Pops up at the top of your page. That way you can see our smiling faces on video today. It's like 80 degrees outside. You and I are this can't
Well, it was
sit in
raining this
building.
morning. It was
It
chilly
raining
this morning. But
and
now it's hot, I think.
Yeah. Do you got a shirt on underneath
I
that?
don't. I'm a little warm walking to the car.
Little hot getting in the car. You have to crank the AC. But
Probably.
the question I have for you today is a classic yes or no in the interest level department on one food item. This is not one meant to get you in trouble.
Oh.
This is a product that was
boy.
announced yesterday, a new product from the people over at Pringles.
Oh, I did see this.
Pringles has announced a limited time summer snack that is Pringles flavored like Miller Lite. So the classic chip, but flavored like Miller Lite. They also have ones flavored like chicken and sausages and some other summer-like flavors. But the Miller Lite one was the one that stood out the most, I'll say, in general. So the question is, yay or nay? Are you interested in a Miller Lite flavored potato chip?
No, not really. Like I'm intrigued to try it. I'll be honest, but
kind of curious what it tastes like.
Yeah, but like if it tastes just like, I mean, Miller Lite, like it's a light beer, right? So like, what's the flavor? How heavy of a flavor profile are we getting here? How much different than so you got the original Pringle, which is great, but then now we're gonna have a Miller Lite. Like, what is it? Just what's it tasting like? I don't know. Do I want to eat a whole can of Miller Lite flavored Pringles? I don't think so.
Should we get a can for fan club?
Yes.
You said yes so fast.
I want to try it.
Should we get a can? I mean, I don't know if they're out yet. I didn't check the exact date on it. But, I mean, you know, like if we're going to try weirdo foods, it feels like the fan club is sometimes a good time for that.
This is a absolutely no for me.
You don't like beer in
no
general.
No chance.
What if it was like it was flavored like a Mike's Hard? You know, then are you interested?
I just don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to taste good.
Correct. I even if it was Mike's Hard or Angry Orchard, I would say no because I don't need to eat something that I drink. I don't. I think it would just be weird.
Would you try the sausage ones, Drew?
I think that
Do you like the sausage
no,
ones?
I think the chicken one would be interesting. Actually, believe it or not. Somebody from the 0-6 that made me laugh said, "I'm gonna go ahead and pass. There's better ways to get diarrhea."
Where are you guys at on Pringles in general?
Oh, I like a Pringle.
It's like a
Pringle.
I'll be honest. It's like a
what flavor?
C-level chip, but I'm not offended by it. Right? I will eat a Pringle, but it is by no means.
Because there's some that are yes. There's other ones that are like.
You know what's weird though? So we know the Pringle's like very light, and it you know sometimes the cans they'll all break apart very easily. I know this is not popular. You know what's better? The Lay's Stacks. It's a thicker chip.
Agreed.
The Lay's Stacks are better. It's a thicker
never
chip.
had a Lay's Stack,
It's the same type of style chip, but they're thicker. They don't. 20 of them don't crumble in the bottom of the can.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So the Lay's Stack you're saying is better than even a regular Pringle.
And I
huh?
like Pringles, but they break up too easy. They're very thin. The Lay's Stack has a little more crunch to it.
My issue is like anymore. It's like I like a chip that's like you mentioned that. I want to go I want like kettle chip quality of thickness.
Kettle chip. Yeah, like a good kettle
right?
chip.
Like so like a Pringle, it's like the wispiest chip imaginable.
You don't want a kettle chip Pringle.
I mean, I don't think they sell that. Pringles.
No,
the Pringles
it's
whole
not a
thing is the
Pringle.
can, dude.
Well, I understand that, but I'm sure you could have a kettle like texture made in Pringle form.
Can we admit that, like Pringles in general, the idea that they've been able to maintain a successful company while having the worst packaging for consuming their product known to man is kind
That's
of
what they're
wild.
known for. They can't
Your
all of a
whole
sudden put it.
hand doesn't even fit in there. You got to pour them out. The
that's their
dust
brand.
rolls everywhere. But like
That's their brand. You know, if all of a sudden
crazy
if
though.
Pringles
How
were-
have we not been turned off by this terrible packaging?
It's part of their brand. Pringles can't. If all of a sudden Pringles were in a regular bag of chips, one, they'd all be crumpled. There'd be nothing left by the time you got it. But also that'd be terrible.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work at all.
You're saying they need like a dispenser
To
pop a chip out of
pen
the
dispenser for Pringles.
To Alex's point, they probably can't change it because that's their branding. They're the only chip that comes in that kind of container. Now they do the little mini ones. Lots of people do that. But like the tube, that's a Pringle. Unless you're going to Aldi and you're getting the Clancy's version or whatever.
People are asking if the
But it
Miller
is
Lite Pringles have alcohol in them. No.
I mean, I think somebody cooked that out.
They're just
That's just like
flavored.
a-
It's
yeah.
the flavoring.
Just some dude in a lab trying to figure out how to make beer flavor out of a different chemical compound, I'm sure.
You guys have had the pizza Pringles, I'm guessing? The
I've
pizza
had
flavor?
them.
In my youth,
those
I
are
haven't
the
had
best ones.
I haven't had a pizza Pringle in 25 years.
I haven't had one in a long time either, but if I remember right, those are the ones that were very good.
If I'm eating a Pringle, just get me the original or the sour cream and onion. I'm not really looking
We sell the original ones. I get in here, and the ranch ones maybe or something in the little bullpen cafeteria thing we have over there.
Salt and vinegar chips are good with me. I'd like them more than sour cream and
The
onion.
sea salt chips, yes. The vinegar part, I'm good. The sea salt kettle chips,
Yeah.
very good.
Again, not against lots of different, but I can't believe they've been a successful company with the worst packaging on the
As
planet.
someone points out, it's great
Crazy.
for road trips. Fits right in the cup holder, easy.
That has to be why
But
they
then you can't,
designed it that way.
but you're just getting crumbs in the car, dude. Because by the time you get to the end of that can, it's not so great for the road trip anymore. You're essentially just pouring it into your chest. You know how many times you try to get like a few more Pringles out of the bottom third of that can and you wish for death?
Yeah, but you can tilt it. They slide
And then
back
it's a
down.
party size.
They
It's
slide
twice the
down.
size.
They slide down on the rest of the tube.
I agree with everything that you're saying, Cody, but it doesn't prohibit me from getting Pringles still. If I want
doesn't stop
I
you.
like Pringles enough to where if I'm feeling a Pringle, I'm going to get a Pringle.
That's fair. I do like the cheese ones. Okay, someone mentioned that's atop the
They
Pringles
just have
power
generic
rankings.
cheese ones?
Oh, I haven't had that.
I like a cheesy chip anyway, right? Like a Harvest cheddar Sun chip. I'm not against, right?
Not a
It
big
just-
Sun chip.
So somebody said that Sun Chips are the most overrated chip on the text line
I said it's
a couple minutes ago.
Again, I didn't call it an S tier chip. Let's relax a little. If we want to go down to if we're doing an
Oh,
official
gosh.
chip power ranking, we can have a very different conversation. You know, like I know for Gold, it's Lay's and Tostitos are two of his. If we did
Tostitos are great.
Tostitos, we can do our Mount Rushmore of chips tomorrow if you guys want one.
Or
Rob.
dare I say,
flavors,
draft our favorite chips. Oh gosh.
Actually, that might,
I mean,
that
at
might
least
be a
we're
good
doing.
idea.
You know what? We'll draft our favorite chips tomorrow. Tell Rob
That sounds good.
Collins. You know,
We will draft our favorite chips in
Gold's
1
not
o'clock
even-
hour
Gold's not
tomorrow.
even going to have any competition. He's just going to be taken. And Rob Collins might not have eaten a chip since the 80s. Like, he's very particular about He's very particular about what he puts into his body, dude.
I know, but
very particular.
There's healthy
He's pretty
chips.
much just meat
There
and
can be-
vegetables.
There can be some healthy chips, though. But yeah, no wasted carbs for Rob Collins. That's true.
Guy's ripped. I don't know what to
He
say.
is.
He doesn't mess around with
Some
his food
says, where do we
content.
stand on pretzels?
Dots
Not-
pretzels.
Dots are
Original
very
Dots
good.
are very high on the list.
I gotta be in the mood for. I'm not. So I gotta just not have had it for a while. I don't
Am I
know.
allowed to include a big soft pretzel? Because that would also be on my power rankings of all pretzels.
I think we're talking more the hard pretzels.
I'll just be honest. I think a pretzel stick might be better than the regular pretzels, than just like a rolled gold pretzel.
Do you like
the rods or the minis?
I like
put
the.
the-
You gotta be careful. He couldn't even start to say. He realized how he was putting that sentence for a second.
I did.
And I was starting to laugh before he even got it out. You're like,
Say that
"Oh."
again, Drew.
No.
Someone wanted to know though, like, do you like the ones with the cheese on it? What type of cheeses?
Cheddar, mozzarella, Havarti, cream cheese, Colby Jack. Did I say Gruyere? Blue, Swiss. Can I mention one other before I know we need to get to break?
Other cheeses?
No,
Another
no
cheese?
other cheeses.
Oh, I thought you named all of them.
There's one other chip that I'm really fascinated by, and I'm curious if people are consuming. I see them in our kitchen area.
Okay.
And we're all adults in our 40s or 50s or whatever, right? And I have never, since high school, I would say, I've never seen someone actually consume a Funyun.
Oh.
Is this a popular chip? Are you all eating these Funyuns?
My guess
wife
is
likes
Funyuns.
this. Okay, so your wife. I'm just curious. This is not meant to be criticism. I'm not familiar with people who
feel
enjoy
like
the
you
Funyuns.
could-
Funyuns, like the hot Funyuns.
Okay, because I feel like the Funyuns strike me as definitely the food that if they just had a vending machine outside of a dispensary in Missouri of Funyuns only, that thing would sell out all the time. That's what it strikes. Funyuns seems like a snack when you're
dispensary snack?
on an edible or two.
The rods or the
Funyuns.
the minis.
I like them.
The mini sticks. Okay, that's what I. Yeah, you know. Because there are different sizes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, there sure are.
There are,
I'm
Drew.
just- I'm just being
There are a
honest.
lot of different sizes.
And shapes, you know?
Okay.
That's the random question of the day. Thank you. Thank you for that. Someone says, can Cody name chips like you can name cheeses? Give it, put 30 seconds on the clock.
No, I don't
and,
want to do this again.
No?
Oh, that clip will live forever, just like
That's
the
right.
cheese one.
That's right.
That was a really sad listing of cheeses now that I think about it. I should have been able to list 15 more.
Pressure was on. The clock was ticking.
Once you start hearing that sound, man, it's tough.
People get nervous. You know the answer, but sometimes you just can't think of it.
I'll be honest, I didn't even realize there were other kinds of Funyuns. I didn't even know there were hot ones or spicy. I didn't even
Is
know.
it like Doritos, just Doritos Ranch, Funyuns, blank?
Yeah,
like it's just
like the hot Cheeto.
Yeah, I've only seen the regular Funyuns or the Flamin' Hot ones.
I actually don't know if I've ever had a Funyun in my life, ever.
I have, but it's been like probably high school.
What do they taste like? What flavor? Like what are we talking about?
They're like onion. It's like sour cream and onion, but not
onion.
right. Like,
onion and chips. I'm
not
good.
like-
Let me go brush my teeth immediately. Gross.
I mean, that's definitely
Gross.
true.
I'm good. I'm not having a bag of chips full of onions. Thank you very much.
Not that.
I'm
It's
good.
more like
Thank
a
you.
sour onion.
Yeah,
like
I'm
a
good.
sour cream and onion.
Appreciate it.
Even getting a sour cream and onion chip, you feel like you have to brush your teeth afterwards, whether it's a Lay's chip, whether it's a Pringle or
I
whatever.
guess that's true. All right, up next, we'll talk some chips with Nate Taylor. We'll also talk about the draft. Turns out that's what we should really talk about with Nate Taylor next.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Tune in to hear Royals insider Josh Vernier every Wednesday at 12:30.
We need to nip this in the bud. We need to nip what in the bud?
On your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
Well, tonight's the last night of the NBA play-in tournament. I've told you maybe the action hasn't been the best. One way to make it better, though, is to bet on it. And during the NBA play-in tournament, FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. Join FanDuel today. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to get in on all the NBA play-in tournament action. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
My name's John Clay Wolf. I'm the founder of GiveMeTheVin.com. Every month, for the next 10 months, everyone that sells us their car to GiveMeTheVin.com will get put in a drawing for a $25,000 winner. We're going to pull one of you out of a hat, and somebody's going to win $25,000. So we're paying more, and you might win $25,000. GiveMeTheVin.com. They don't call us America's Best Car Buyer for nothing.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
If you're like me and you're trying to break through that boring lunch routine, I've got the option for you. I discovered lunch at Hy-Vee Market Grill. Forget the after-lunch fast food coma. The Hy-Vee Market Grill offers fast and fresh options with made-to-order burgers, salads, sandwiches, and wraps like the 3-cheese patty melt, the crispy chicken or Cobb salad, BLT or tenderloin sandwich, and my personal favorite, the peanut butter bacon burger. For high quality and great value, freshen up your lunch routine at the Hy-Vee Market Grill today.
Hop into Hy-Vee for all your Easter needs, like baskets, candy, chocolate bunnies, and more. Treat your family to Easter brunch at the Market Grill. Just $24.99 for adults, $7.99 for children, and kids 5 and under eat free. Staying home? Try Hy-Vee's Easter meal deal for just $30. Get all the fixins you need to feed your duckling spiral sliced ham, russet potatoes and gravy, green bean casserole, and bakery fresh rolls. Make this your most excellent Easter ever, only at Hy-Vee.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure where to start? Selling a home can feel overwhelming
especially if you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, an inherited property you don't want, or just need to move quickly. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Rex Buys KC is here to help. As a local home buyer, I understand the Kansas City market inside and out. My family and I live right here, so I know the neighborhoods, the trends, and the challenges homeowners face. That's why I take a consultative approach, helping you explore your options and find the best path forward. We buy houses in any condition, no need for repairs, no agent commissions, and no hidden fees. You'll receive a fair cash offer with a closing timeline that works for you. Whether that's in as little as 7 days or at your own pace, just a simple, hassle-free process designed around your needs. If you're ready to talk through your options, call me today at 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Let's find the right solution for you. Rex Buys KC. Local, fair, and focused on you.
Prices are going up everywhere. Tariffs may drive up costs across the country, but not at Legacy Box.
Why? Because we're proudly 100% American made. Every tape, film reel, and photo you send stays right here in the USA, digitized by skilled technicians who know your memories are priceless.
Introducing the Legacy Box All-American Sale. Just $9 per tape. Not $15, not $12, just $9.
We're the nation's #1 digitizer, trusted by over 1 million families because we've made it simple. Just fill your Legacy Box with old tapes, film reels, and photos. We'll digitize them by hand and return everything. Plus, digital copies on the cloud you can relive and share forever.
With Legacy Box, your memories are safe from tariffs and safe from time. Heat, humidity, and age are already destroying your family's history, so take advantage of our limited time $9 tape sale.
Visit legacybox.com/value to lock in savings today. That's legacybox.com/value. Legacy Box, American made, trusted by families.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John always listens to his truck. So when his brakes start talking, he goes to AutoZone, where a helpful AutoZoner gets him the right parts. If John has time to put them in, he borrows a kit with Loan-A-Tool. And if he doesn't, he gets a free shop referral. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool. Restrictions apply.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Join us for the Fans Draft Party on Thursday, April 24th from the Landing in Liberty. We'll be broadcasting live, plus your chance to win $965 and an autographed Chiefs helmet in our draft contest. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Saw Drew running over to the vending machine area. I don't know if he was getting Funyuns, or what it was.
Because if you got Funyuns, you got to give Alex one.
No, number one on my list we do have available over there.
What's that?
Oh, we're going to find out tomorrow when we draft him. I guarantee.
He doesn't want to steal his pick, dude.
Hold on. I also I guarantee that you guys might not have even had one. I think you have, but.
Okay. All right. We'll find out tomorrow.
I don't think you're picking what I'm picking.
I've been living since I was 40. You think I've never had a? You've had some chip I haven't had?
Well, I mean, I told you I hadn't had a Funyun, so
I've had a Funyun.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in studio in the next couple of minutes. We'll talk some draft. We'll talk rest of the Chiefs offseason. His thoughts on where Aaron Rodgers goes, where Shedeur Sanders goes. A lot to get into on the NFL front with our Chiefs insider from The Athletic, Nate Taylor. Don't forget, though, we are getting closer and closer to seeing Cags in Springfield. If you guys have been listening to the show the last couple of days, you've heard us talk a ton about it. We still get texts, people asking for details. So another reminder, Cody and Gold road trip. We're headed down to Springfield Saturday, May 3rd to watch Jack Caglione and the Royals AA affiliate take on the Cardinals AA affiliate in Springfield, Missouri. We've got a special $10 ticket deal for our listeners. We've got over 80 listeners already signed up to meet us in Springfield to watch Cags. You can go to our website, 965thefan.com, click on the road trip link there on the front page to purchase your tickets. We also have a special Cags t-shirt for those that are going on the road trip. You'll pick those up in Springfield, but you do need to order them in advance. If you would like to order one of those shirts and you are going on the road trip, just send us a text to 586-7965 or on X/Twitter at Cody B Tap at Alex Gold. We'll get you the order form and the payment details and everything. But we were pumped with the turnout already, and I think we're going to have well over 100 listeners by the time we get on this trip in a few weeks.
That's kind of my new goal going into it. I don't know what I was expecting, but the fact that we already have 80 people heading out there, a lot of families, 4 people deciding some are driving down, then coming back after the game. Me and Alex and Dusty and stuff. I think we're going to stay down there in Springfield for the night, try to have a little bit of fun with everybody.
We're going to convince Drew. He's going to have such a great time that he's going to have to call the wife and say, honey, I got to stay. I've had a few drinks.
I've decided just to be safe, I'm going to book a hotel room with 2 beds in it in case Drew needs to crash. You will have you can make that call game time decision. Game time decision, Drew.
Okay.
So you can, make your call. But yeah, we're going to head down there. It's going to be an awesome time. Like we said, so many people signed up. Can't really wait for the next 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks away. We need the shirt orders in by next Wednesday.
Yeah.
We will probably, no guarantee, probably get a couple of extras for those of you who can't decide till Thursday or Friday the week of to get out there. But, we got to give them enough time to get the shirts delivered to us to make sure we got them for CAGs.
Someone pointed out and said, CAGs, the shirt. They're like, it's the Cody and Gold show as well.
Great point.
So it's the CAG shirt and it's the Cody and Gold show shirts.
We are CAG, he's CAGs.
That's right. Someone once again asking if they can order the short if they're not going. Unfortunately, no, not at this time.
Moment.
Maybe down the road when he gets called up, we'll have the shirts available for sale in that regard. Right now, it is just for those going on the road trip, and you will not be able to pick them up other than at Harbell's Bar and Grill in Springfield, Missouri for our road trip. As we got Nate Taylor settling into the studio, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic. He's rocking all his KC Current gear, which, by the way, be listening tomorrow. We've got a couple.
Undefeated KC Current.
That's right. I've enjoyed going out there. You guys know I have season tickets. They play Saturday at home again. We've actually got some tickets to give away tomorrow on the show.
Hey.
So tomorrow in the 1 o'clock hour, we will have a couple tickets. Some, I think, standing room only tickets is what it's going for right now. So we'll have some tickets for the game when they take on Houston.
Can I say something that
What's up?
I hope will get clipped? Danny Welniacki, somebody in the Current, clip this and send it to her, okay?
Oh, here we go.
From me to her. Lola Labonte is one of the most bad mother bleepers in the freaking league, man. She is so good controlling the middle, dictating tempo. Obviously, I don't know why these girls keep getting their arms and shoulders up, but please keep doing it because when she gets a penalty kick,
she's nailing every PK. And
it's
an
automatic.
And then also, Timwa just,
I know she gets much of the attention.
The speed is
yes,
insane.
insane.
Absolutely insane speed.
Yeah, I know she gets much of the attention, but I just think, and I love Cooper. Dabina's been great having her healthy again, but I just think we just cannot overstate how good Lola is.
Can you imagine if they ever have a kid? That kid's going to dominate Kansas City soccer. I fear for any U6s that have to go up against Roger Espinosa and Labonte's kid.
Yeah.
They're going to get fried.
Lola
the rest of the kids in the city will be cooked.
No doubt.
I think we were there at the same game when they played Utah. Those poor ladies from Utah.
No chance. No
shot. And I left the game being like, I don't think people realize how good number 10 is for the Current. Even though Chewinga is incredible when you give her any opportunity in front of the goal.
Yeah, so we'll have some tickets tomorrow to give away. But Nate's got the Current hat on, the Current shirt on as well.
Best team in the league.
Their color scheme and everything.
When do they face Orlando? Because they're also undefeated.
Later in the year.
Damn.
I'd have to look.
I wish they were playing like next week. They're both undefeated.
I know, they're so good.
Even if it's a draw, it's fun.
And we got business to handle based on last year's
Orlando Saturday, August 16th is the when Orlando.
That's way too far away.
It's way too
but
far.
They play Houston on Saturday, and then they play also on Mother's Day. Coming up on May 11th as well.
Right.
But Nate, what's going on? It's been a little while since we had you in the studio, man. We were all Brett Veach he could have been talking for another 2 hours, I feel like.
So good.
Yeah. You don't get that a lot. You do not get that a lot, as you know, from coaches or GMs in sports, period.
Right. And I know we could say partly due to the success of the team that they've had, but I just think this is who Brett is from a personality standpoint, whether the team would be obviously, perennial Super Bowl contenders or if they were just like sort of middle of the pack. I have the pleasure of watching other pre-draft press conferences, whether it was today in Cleveland. There was one in New York yesterday.
Oh, that was interesting, I bet. They didn't say a damn thing, did they?
No, they didn't. Or you have to really read between the lines in terms of like, hey, this is how the general manager feels about ownership when he only has 1 year left in his job. That is going on right now. With Joe Shane up in New York. So Brett Veach sort of takes you under the hood. I told some friends via text message, you kind of want to lay back first 20 minutes. Just lay back. Just
let them loosen up.
Yeah. And then you can strike. So I asked him some interesting things that I know we're going to get to here in a minute, but I do think that for the Chiefs and for Brett in particular, this comes to a point where they have to they understand they have to outwork all these other teams because they're at such a disadvantage in terms of where they're picking outside of the L'Jarius Sneed trade, that pick early in the third round. But they're competing at such a disadvantage that he should have bags under his eyes. You should flip through every rock available to you so that you're most prepared for next Thursday, because I have some feelings about how the first round's going to go that I don't think Chiefs fans are going to love.
Oh, okay.
But I do get the sense.
If you tell me guard, I'm going to lose it.
No, God, no.
Thank God.
God, no.
You said I'm not going to like it. Okay, you didn't say I was going to hate it. That's different.
Okay. You might not like it, but again, one of the things I wanted to find out is, like, how much are you guys willing to, like, really deep sea dive to find something that might give you an advantage, because they're starting at such a disadvantage with the 31st pick.
We heard from Veach on a variety of things, as you mentioned there. One thing early on in the conversation, so that was how he talked about the running back depth in the draft, right? I mean, we've known that the draft class is very deep at running back, so that's not news, but he basically said, we're taking a running back.
Yes. which is all I was like. It was going to be one of the questions I asked. I think Matt Derrick asked it, so thankfully he got us on the board with that one, because it's not been like a secret necessarily in draft circles, but I'm just glad that he acknowledged that, like, hey, if you gotta, like, we're at the part of the draft where it's just like, hey man, give me that hope that feels and smells good, and I just want to dream. So any running back crush you have,
let it dream.
It's possible, baby, because the Chiefs know. I wouldn't be opposed to them taking 2 running backs. I mean, that's just how good the class is and the need is, because there's no one on the roster in 2026 that plays the running back position.
Nate, I've given my 3. Alex has given at least 1. Like, we've started to talk about the guys we like. I'll give you mine, but I'm curious what yours are.
Yep.
I have mentioned, so like Drew was on Travion Henderson. Yes, I like to go the other way.
I'm with you, baby.
Okay, great.
I'm with you.
I'm a Judkins guy first.
Yes.
RJ Harvey was second for me, and then Damian Martinez third. So where are you in the running back?
And I like Dylan Sampson.
Okay, I would be more Dylan Sampson than Martinez, but I understand it. I also, and this is like a deep cut, I mean, he's the brother of a guy who's in the league right now, but I still love Trevor Etienne.
Okay.
As like maybe a possible third down scat back gadget guy, maybe as a Brett
kick returner he mentioned.
Yes, I was just about to say that. He mentioned, like, hey, could this player, whoever this running back is that they take in the second, third, fourth round, can that person be next to Nico Remigio on kickoff returns, and maybe given injuries, whatever, just be an option at punt return? So I do think that's fascinating too. Etienne has a great hands, great ability to catch the football. So that's something I'm interested in just as much as the home run aspect of a runner. But man, there's so many. I like DJ Giddens in Kansas State.
I think he fits better than Neal, if the local guys.
Yes. I would tend to agree. But Devin Neal is so consistent that it's more of a safer pick, and I understand if you were to go that route. So again, if anybody's listening and you like a running back in the draft and his name is not the guy who's gonna go whatever top 10.
What, you don't like Ashton Genty, Nate? Is that what you're telling us?
Anyone outside of that you can dream about.
Exactly. Thank you. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, I love Genty, but guys,
I saw a mock yesterday.
I
might have him go top 5.
I don't even think he should go top 10. Like, let's be honest, guys.
And not a running back ever.
One mock today had the Jags taking him at 5 or whatever. Which is wild. And I think he's gonna be a 12. I think he's gonna be a 1,200-yard back immediately. I just it goes back to the positional value thing in a very deep draft. Now you mentioned something before we get into some of the other things Veach said, that you don't know if fans will be happy with what you're being told, or at least what you believe is going to happen at 31. So what do you think fans won't like?
Here we go, guys. I know. All right, everybody take a deep breath. I asked Brett Veach a very specific question about a very specific prospect without mentioning the prospect's name. Hey, man, why you do these visits? Okay, why you do these pre-draft visits? I know you had Josh Simmons in the building. Why'd you do that?
Injury.
Clearly, if this man was not hurt, he would never be available to you. But look, Josh Simmons is one of the best left tackle prospects in this year's draft class. He's a very good left tackle from Ohio State. Every team knows that if he's fully healthy, he could actually potentially be a day one starter as a rookie. That's how good he is. But he had a non-contact left knee injury in mid-October. So you bring him in to get the last possible medical checkpoint, to be with your doctors, to see how the rehab's going. This is what Brett said, quote, with players we just brought in, you're going to get additional medical information. The guy at the combine, you need a recheck, whether it's a knee, a shoulder, an ankle. Interesting. Why'd you point out knee first instead of shoulder and ankle?
There's other injuries.
Quote, we can bring in these guys to get extensive time with our doctors. That's important for us. All right, guys.
Is there a reason why everyone's mocking him?
There's no way he's going to be available for the Kansas City Chiefs. I have strong belief and strong information that as much as the Josh Simmons hype train is a choo-chooing right now, as much as the Chiefs have done their due diligence to see where he is in his rehab,
he's not going to be there.
As much as he might be a potential, like, oh my God, they finally found their franchise cornerstone left tackle who, maybe had an injury and, maybe it took him year 2, year 3 to get it going. I'm sorry, guys.
How high do you think he goes then?
I just early to mid 20s.
Because we know there's been rumblings about
he loves to trade up,
trading up,
mid-20s.
being aggressive.
Yes,
the Vikings might want to trade back. The Rams might want to trade back. So, okay, maybe Simmons is in there at 31. But if they were to trade up, is he the only player you really could see them trading up for?
On the offensive side of the ball, yes. I think there's more trade up targets on defense.
Like who? Who? Give me a name, maybe.
Is it some of the names we know? Nolan, Harmon, and whatever.
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
I love Walter Nolan.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm sure they're very familiar with his game.
Gotcha.
There's another guy that I'm fascinated to see where he goes, because I think he is prototypical for Steve Spagnuolo on the edge, and that is Michael Williams from Georgia.
Okay. What you mentioned with Simmons, how you don't think he's a popular name. Is that just because fans want someone that can help them immediately, and if they draft him, they probably still start Jalen Moore, and it's more of a 2026 thing? Why do you think it would be an unpopular pick?
I don't know if it would be an unpopular pick. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Gotcha.
I see all these mocks, and I understand it because, Jalen Moore is not necessarily proven. So you're taking a smaller gamble with him being a free agent, him learning from Trent Williams over the past 4 years in San Francisco, him playing well, and again, in spot starter sort of snaps. This informs you about how difficult it is when you're picking 32, 31, 32
every
30, year. It's impossible to get a top 5 at the position of left tackle. It's just impossible, because even if a guy has a season-ending injury, he will probably still go into the teens, early 20s, and you'd have to give up more to go get Joshua Simmons than maybe another team, and then that obviously is a bit more draft capital than you're probably comfortable giving for a player who might not be ready for week 1 because obviously of the knee injury.
So let's not say it's Simmons this year, but this is my whole argument, and obviously GMs don't think this way or they would have done it by now. If this is the logic behind it, right, at 31, and the Chiefs pick at 31 every year, then why the year when there's Joe Alt at 10? Why don't you just trade up like you're trading up for a quarterback? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Nate, you can afford it even more because the risk is less. The odds of Joe Alt failing versus a quarterback trading up at 9 are way less if you just go up and just trade your whole draft. Yeah. And I know you don't like to do that for anyone but quarterback, but why?
Right.
But not like, I don't mean every pick, but
he means
the way people trade up for a quarterback, use that amount of draft capital to get the left tackle so that you don't have to do this ever again the entire time Patrick Mahomes is your starting quarterback.
Again, that player would have to be healthy, like Joe Alt was last year.
And you have to convince him to trade with you.
Yes, and that's the problem too, because the Chargers were like, I'm sorry, what? They're sniffing around Joe Alt because his father played for them? Nah. And I'm John Harbaugh. Like, I'm known for being in the trenches. I'm known for, like, we're going to move people. So that was a pipe dream that had even less success rate possibility or probability.
I just meant like any of the guys are going to get taken in the top 10, not this year.
Yeah, if you go top 10, let's say you go next year, top 10, man, this guy is close to can't miss. Left tackle. God, look at those feet. Look at those hands.
We're picking 32.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that athletic ability in the run game. You're giving up next year's first-round pick, and you're probably giving up a premium day 2 pick, similar to the top of the third-round L'Jarius Sneed pick that you got this year.
Do you think some of it's hard, though? Because, like, I get it. Because, like, in my brain, it makes sense. But then at the same time, it's like, hey, if I'm picking 31 or 32 this year, it's not exactly holding me back. Like, would I like to be better at left tackle? Yeah, sure. Who wouldn't? But, like, it's not exactly stopping us from reaching our goals. So, like, that part of it I get is kind of like the other side of the coin.
How you extend the window out, too, though, is you got to have as many picks as possible. And obviously they've had good track record with later mid-round picks.
Can we just say the stat one more time? That is mentally mind-boggling and tells you the importance of Andy Reid and the brilliance of Patrick Mahomes. Guys, they've been to 5 Super Bowls. I know. They've had 5 different left tackles.
Yeah, it's...
They won 3 of those games.
But it also means they'd like to stop doing that.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
Of course. Sure. But it's just one of the most astonishing statistics of this dynasty is like
it is.
It's one of the most important positions. I have to write countless times in The Athletic, protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side. Because if you don't do that, you usually lose in the Super Bowl. But they still got there 5 times with 5 different left tackles. And that starts with Eric Fisher at the peak of his career before the Achilles injury. And it is extended out to, hey, Joe, we love you. Can you please play left tackle? Joe Tooney, can you please? And then Brett Veach being today like, we love the guy. Had to trade him.
Yeah. He said it hurt.
It hurt, but we had to do it.
They did.
And the only reason why you trade Joe Tooney is because you have to improve at the left tackle position.
One other thing, we can get to some other positions on the other side, but I don't remember who asked the question today with Trey Smith, where things are at, because it sounds like basically, hey, his agency that represents is really, really busy. They got a bunch of other clients, and we're also kind of busy. We're kind of busy with our draft stuff, so we're cool waiting another month till we start talking again. And we want to sign him. We want to bring him in.
What a spin! Hey, guys, that's one of the best spins.
His agency is busy. What? Isn't it one of the largest agencies? Like, they've never been able to negotiate a long-term deal while they have draft prospects?
He's represented, by the way, Trey Smith, ladies and gentlemen, is represented by CAA, the most gigantic organization.
This isn't a mom-and-pop shop here.
No. It was a beautiful, beautiful slice. I didn't know where the ball was going. It was such a good slice from Brett Veach. He put a ton of spin on it. It's incredible. It just there's truth to it.
Yeah, like we're all swamped,
but not really.
If you were close to getting the deal done, they wouldn't have been like, you know what, we're close, but we're too busy.
Wait, yeah.
We're too busy getting a percentage of a largest deal for a guard in NFL history. We don't want to get that deal done now. We're too busy with our future 3rd-round draft picks.
Sounds like me when I get invited somewhere I don't want to go. Swamped. No chance.
Dog, it was so great because ever since they put the franchise tag on, as we've talked about before, there's the parameter for the contract. Yeah. It's not really that hard. It's just a matter
of the number you just paid him, but for more years.
Yeah, it's just however you want to spread it out. If it's a 4-year deal, is it a 5-year deal? Okay, how much of the money is guaranteed up front? How much of the money is guaranteed if you are on the roster for year 3, year 4, da-da-da-da. It's pretty cut and dry. Now, they don't have to do anything right now because they're not under a deadline. So the deadline is in July. I don't think it'll really get to July, is my understanding, just because Trey knows. Hey man,
the whole wanting to be here thing makes this smoother.
Yes, and them wanting him to be here too.
They showed that by tagging him.
Yeah, them maneuvering in a way that was kind of uncomfortable for them, which is kind of not what Clark Hunt wants, is to tie up money that you're not really going to use during the free agency period because you place a franchise tag. Okay, well that's how you kind of get de-incentivized to do it. But
you do believe this still gets done, though?
Yes, Yes. That's why it's so funny to me. Because this dude was like, well, they got so many prospects. I mean, they got.
He made it sound like they were in the trenches negotiating the deals already. They already knew who was taking them.
Or it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, say something really nice about the agency. They're one of the biggest. They got so many guys. I had such good conversations with them at the combine, such good conversations with them at the owners
They're
meeting.
handsome.
They're so great. And by the way, I might, take one or two of their new prospects in the draft because CAA's so good at this.
They got so many guys. Yeah, it is kind of funny. But the thing always comes back. Brett Veach still says more than most GMs do in that.
Oh,
league.
yes.
And
yes.
they've had to rein him in. He used to be like, he just straight tell you the truth.
Right.
Now I got to at least I got to read between a line maybe, but.
Remember there was a couple years ago where he was like, yeah, we're trading up. Everybody was like, you can't do that. And he's just like,
you're not supposed to say that.
I'm sorry. That's how I feel. That's what we do. And that's what I will be
He already had the framework of the deal in place. He had already agreed to terms on that
I will
deal,
be making phone calls on Tuesday of the draft week. Basically is what he's telling us.
In the middle of him talking, he said, I probably admit too much. And then I think it was Adam Teicher was like, Andy, you don't say too much. We promise. We love the fact that you talk enough.
For just context purposes, what a normal GM would have did today to Pete Sweeney's question about Trey Smith is, well, we don't have to do anything right now. We have the deadline. We love the player. We'll keep working.
Yeah. We tagged him for a reason.
Yeah.
The end.
It is just boring, boilerplate.
It's the reason why this thing went for 40 minutes this morning. There's no doubt. We got Nate Taylor from The Athletic hanging out with us. Let's get back into the draft on the other side. I want to ask him about the wide receivers, also what Brett Veach had to say about the edge rushers available and the depth there in the draft. That's coming up next year on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's NBA champion Bill Wennington. It's the best time to be a basketball fan. All the thrills and the playoff drama, done sitting on the sidelines and ready to win some real cash? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, including prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6 Plus. Even more cash if you outscore the competition.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code 965. That's code 965 for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
As you prepare for Easter and Memorial Day family gatherings, don't forget Gates sauces and seasonings. They're great on all meats, fish, chicken, and veggies, as well as hot buttered popcorn. A topping for your dips. Or sprinkle Gates seasonings on your chips and nuts for that extra flavor pop. Nothing says Easter Sunday or Memorial Day like a Gates party tray. Or use Gates sauces and seasonings to embellish your home-cooked meal. Gates Barbecue. Thanks with love.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-858-1199. That's 800-858-1199.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading property, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your local Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley Equipment has the machines you need to get the job done. And right now, Foley has 0% financing on new cat skid steers, mini excavators, and compact track loaders. Stop by any Foley Equipment location today or visit us at FoleyEQ.com. That's FoleyEQ.com.
Looking for the best food, drinks, and game day vibes? The Landing Eatery and Pub in Liberty has you covered. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. with great drink specials. Game day buckets, 5 beers or seltzers. Keep the party going Saturday and all day Sunday. Catch every play on over 68 TVs while enjoying our massive 102-item menu. Love live music? Our neon-lit smoking patio has bands Thursday through Sunday. Don't miss out. Check out our daily specials at landingeateryandpub.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. The baseball season is underway as we continue to see the teams separate themselves from the rest. Texas has had a resurgence, returning to form after winning it all in 2023. They will be tested in an early season series against Los Angeles. Will Texas be able to wrangle a couple of wins in the series? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't get you, IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus Awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
You could think you found your dream home online, but here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Thank you for making Total Wine & More America's #1 online source for spirits, beer, and wine. Better than all those delivery apps. Total Wine's prices are up to 30% lower with super fast delivery and no hidden fees. Order direct at TotalWine.com and pay less today.
Drink responsibly, B21. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon producing the show. We got our guy Nate Taylor in studio with us, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic. You got some big stuff coming up next week, and I'm not talking about the draft. You got some more important things.
I mean, both.
Yes.
But,
Big
sure.
week. I'll be watching.
I mean, the draft is important, but it's not the most important thing next week.
No, it is not. We are so close. We're near the finish line. We're coming down the final stretch. Everyone, please say a prayer for Holly, my wife, who is 39 weeks pregnant with our precious baby boy.
Now, I can't remember. Do you know the gender?
Yes, it's a boy.
It is okay. That's another boy.
Yep. Hope it's a smooth delivery. Shout out to everybody at Advent Health. I want to put that out there. And yeah, please send prayers to us.
Absolutely.
You want me to send like sushi or something? Has she been like waiting for something?
Dude, yeah, the sushi's.
She's been
really
waiting
at the
for
top of the
something.
list.
I might be able to send something to the hospital room hotel.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, you make the phone call. How much does it cost to get a boat over here? A boat of sushi over here. Is that health? What's the health rate on that? Can we do that? So yeah, it'll be very exciting.
You got a hell of a week upcoming.
Yeah,
man. It's awesome though.
The Athletic, God bless them. I've also been like, hey man, she can pop in any moment, and I'm like, yes. They're like, can you give us everything now? It was like, yeah. So I feel as prepared as one feels for this time, which means, guys, there's nothing that can prepare you for the birth of a child.
Dude, you guys are going from zone to man. Man to man, that's a whole nother game.
That's right.
Switching defense. You got like a new defensive coordinator all of a sudden. You got to change your whole style.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta.
You guys went from running high low to pick and roll. You're into trouble.
Yes, and putting a lot of we might put Hayden out there in the corner and just let him shoot from time to time. Shots. No, leave him open. Leave him open. we got this one covered.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's like, well,
speaking from someone with two kids,
you can shoot that one. It's fine.
We'll let that one go.
Yeah, the beauty of it is, because he's older. Hayden's 9.5. Lovely kid. Love him to death. He's super duper excited to have a baby brother. It just amplifies the fact that, like, oh my God, I got to get healthy, man. I got to get in shape. I got to get more sleep.
You start thinking like, I got to live for this kid.
Yeah, right.
I'm living life. I'm not trying to die tomorrow.
I got to get more sleep.
This is not draft related, but all of our draft coverage is brought to you by Pal Exteriors, J&M Displays, and the Salvation Army. But yeah, Nate, it's a whole nother game. Let's talk. You'd mentioned the defensive ends.
Yes.
Really telling of Brett Veach. Alex and I took it the same way. Let's see if you do too.
Okay.
We heard him say the defensive line, really good defensive line draft. Defensive tackle, little better than normal, not way better than normal. Defensive end, crazy deep. I take that as please hope Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan is available to us at 31.
Yep.
Because we can get the DN whenever. Is that kind of the way you hear it with him?
Yeah, we could use
whoever.
We could use a nice DN in the top of the third round. We can maybe make some maneuvering in the second to fourth round range. Because you could also get a guy who, maybe is a little bit raw and you can develop him over the course of the rookie contract at the defensive end position. I love Walter Nolan, man. I just it's almost like too perfect of a football match.
He feels like he'd fit really well with Chris Jones.
Yeah, and Harmon is just a freaking wall, man.
That's my guy, but it's like there's no wrong with either.
No, and he's just so good up front in terms of like taking on double teams, still being effective in one-on-one situations, obviously penetrating the backfield. It would be great if the Chiefs had someone who could be in the wings of Chris Jones from an interior pass rushing standpoint, considering we know every now and then Chris will go to the outside and rush from the edge. If you can't make it work with the left tackle situation like we talked about in the last segment, I do think defensive line, whether you go edge or interior, is probably the biggest priority. So it's almost like choose your own adventure. If this scenario cannot work, if it's not feasible with Josh Simmons, or if it's not feasible with anybody who can fall that we think might be, worthy of a first-round pick at the tackle position, the Chiefs' pass rush does need to get better.
And it has no long-term answers, in my opinion.
Correct. Outside of George Karlaftis is probably your best path towards a long-term solution, in terms of a contract extension or, mitigating it with a fifth-year option. Again, Charles Omenihu's only on 1-year deal. We will see what occurs with Felix Enudike-Uzama, because this is kind of a make-or-break year for him in year 3 of his own 5-year contract. Mike Dana is a nice piece, but we may have seen the prime of his career or the best year of his career.
He's only got
already.
a year or two left too. That third year was kind of a paper year.
Yeah, so there's not, you need to bolster it. And then of course I looked this up last night. And it still was surprising to me. The only defensive tackle on the salary cap sheet for the 2026 regular season is Chris Jones.
That's crazy. But that's what happens when you lose a guy like Turk Wharton. It's why I would take 2 defensive linemen before I took I would take 2 defensive linemen before I even drafted a safety or a guard or some of the other spots I'm worried less about, let's say. I'm not saying you can't take players at those positions.
Right. Yeah, but that all makes sense to me because, you are trying to remain in championship contention mode, but at the same time, you're also trying to not have as many holes if, again, like we said last segment, you're picking at 30, 31, 32. So, I think the best draft pick in the Brett Veach era, this is obviously prior to the Patrick Mahomes trade, even though Brett Veach was intimately involved in that. His best draft pick with his name on it is Trent McDuffie. The amount of that type of occurrence happening again in the next 4 years is pretty small. So you need to be really good at scouting, trying to project ahead, and trying to mitigate as many glaring holes on your roster, which means the easiest way towards success with a superstar quarterback is strengthening the offense and the defensive line.
Charles Minnieu is back on a 1-year deal. We all know he thought he was going to get way more on the open market. That wasn't the case. That's why he's back. He had some comments here recently discussing, he thinks he can have a career year, which, look, you love hearing that, but who doesn't think they're going to have a career and everything like that? He missed time due to off-the-field stuff in the past. He, of course, had the ACL injury. When he's been on the field, though, he's been really, really effective. Do you believe we could see a career year out of Charles Minnieu, and how badly do they need that, I guess?
Both parties need it really badly. Because let's go into a perfect scenario. I think Nolan has a bit more upside than Harmon. So let's say Harmon falls to the Chiefs, or the Chiefs trade up to 27th, 28th, get Harmon. You got him, Jerry Tillery, Chris Jones in the interior, and you're really, really relying on George Karlaftis and Charles Minnieu to stay healthy. That's your D-line for better or for worse next season. Now, yes, you're going to sprinkle in Mike Dana, you're sprinkling FAU, but the 2 bookends are George Karlaftis and Charles Minnieu. So the Chiefs are banking on the idea that, hey, man, this is the best chance left in his career for Charles Minnieu to play, 15, 16, 17 games, be as effective as you talked about, Alex, and also maybe get to 9, 10, 11 sacks because of the traction of Chris Jones, because George Karlaftis is obviously a known quantity in and of itself. And there's no better time and possibility for Charles to really maximize his value. He has still not yet found what his true value is in the NFL because of all the circumstances you mentioned. So the best chance for him to prove it was to return to his former employer, was to stay in Kansas City, was to be in the system. He should know every in and outs of the system. So there should be no excuses. You're further removed from the ACL. Hopefully you don't, you're a quality citizen. You continue to do that, which he's done over the last 2 years since he was suspended for violation of the personal conduct policy in regards to him and his lady at the time. And now, look, man, this is the prime of your career. I hate to put it in these parameters, but if not now, when?
I mean, and if I'm him, I look at what happened in free agency this year, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't carve out some of that. Turk Wharton got 3 for 54.
It's still you never want to knock.
Some of the money defensive lineman got this year was nuts, and he got a 1-year deal.
Yes.
No, happy for Turk Wharton, but I'm still sitting like, how the hell did that happen?
Carolina has money to burn.
Kinlaw was almost as egregious. That one was and they do. There's no doubt people have money to burn, but that means the Chiefs also got maybe the single best contract in the defensive line out of any team in the NFL in Charles Minnieu, especially if he gets anywhere close to 7 to 10 sacks.
If he plays 15 to 16 to 17 games, that's the calculus. And there's nothing preventing that right now compared to other teams in the league who are like, hey, man, we don't know you as well as the Chiefs do. And, sometimes evaluators, we're human beings. We look at the sheets and we go, man, you haven't played a full season since 2022. Like, I'm going to invest, a ton of money into you. And the production's been good, but it hasn't been great. And we could get somebody in the draft. And so all those things, his market got squeezed in a sense that was surprising to me. To where I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you hope that he has an incredible year because he humbled himself, and he talked about this, like humbling himself from an ego standpoint to put his ego aside to know that this is the best chance for me to do right by the team that's still been supportive of me, and also for me to truly show who I can be when given a full opportunity as a starter. This stat is also crazy. Charles Omenihu, even though we know he's been a good player for 6 years in the NFL, has never been a full-time starter. And so if the Chiefs do not draft, if the Chiefs don't draft a edge rusher in the first round, he most likely will be your starter across from George Karlaftis, and that will be the first time in Charles Omenihu's career he can tell himself, man, I got 17 games of first-team starter snaps to demonstrate what I can do next to two really good pass rushers in Chris Jones and George Karlaftis.
We got Nate Taylor from The Athletic hanging out with us. We're talking draft. We're talking Chiefs offseason. Since we mentioned Omenihu and his availability, I guess I'll ask you, any update at all on the Rashee Rice availability?
I mean,
we know that
the law works slow.
We know the rehab process has been going very well. We know that he's actually been ahead of schedule on the health side of things for the knee, and that's going to be fine, it looks like, for week 1.
Okay.
But there's no clarity on that. I mean, are we going to be talking about a suspension in 2026? Not 2025?
Be retired before he gets suspended at this point.
Like, we've all been assuming he's getting suspended this year, but, like, are we sure?
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, unless this has changed, which again I haven't really looked into it most recently, which is funny in and of itself. But I believe the civil suit doesn't really get cracking until June.
Are there criminal charges even yet? That seems very unclear to me. No matter how many times I try to look it up, I have a hard time finding criminal charges.
You're not gonna find it. You're just not.
I don't know.
I mean, look. He paid his debt to society. He didn't kill anybody. Like there's so much of what's the word I'm looking for? What's the phrase? There's so much underbelly talk, I guess, that I don't think it's a priority in the league office.
I mean, he was driving 120 miles an hour, but he didn't hurt anybody.
And it was on video!
But even that, like the
he's just
league
walking down the shoulder.
The league office is not going to do anything though until some of the legal proceedings are wrapped up, right? And those haven't even begun technically.
Correct. So again, is that a priority in the league office, Mr. Gold? I will say no, it isn't right now. And I know the NFL won't appreciate me saying this, but I'll say it for the audience because I appreciate everybody who listens. Look, man, we could just do that in like late July. Maybe we do it in like late June if the civil situation goes a certain direction. Oh, they pleaded. Oh, they agreed to something. Oh, interesting. Maybe we'll get an investigator on it for like 4 days. Just see what's happening. Are you contrite? You're not going to do that again, right? Well, he hasn't done it in the past year. Look, he's been an upstanding citizen. All right.
Think we can let this one go now?
Is anybody looking around?
Oh, good. Maybe it'll be 2 games instead of 6.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how the sausage is made.
Since we're talking about positions, because I'll be honest, the Chiefs draft is all about like defensive line and offensive tackle. Let's talk about the sexy positions, like people who catch the football.
Yes.
I don't know that the Chiefs are going to go after a wide receiver in the draft because they are set, at least with Rice and Worthy and Hollywood. So they don't have to.
Right.
But, what are the odds you think? Let's say they get into the 3rd round. You think it's more likely they're interested in the Fannin Juniors of the world or the Trey Harrises? Wide receiver, pass-catching tight end? What kind of makes more sense for them in that range?
If I were in the room, based on your scenario, Cody, which I am fascinated by, if I was in the room, I'd probably say we should take another crack at tight end, even though
look for the star, not just get the guy. Because Noah Gray's fine; he's a perfectly fine tight end too.
Noah Gray
he might be a 650-yard tight end if he started all the time.
Noah Gray is a starting tight end in the NFL if he's not on like 8 teams or whatever. He just happens to be on one with the greatest tight end we've ever seen. You're only guaranteed 1 year left of Travis Kelce. I know Jarrett Wiley was highly touted at the time, and he had a very good training camp before, his ACL injury. So you got to take him into consideration. But Andy Reid, I mean, he has a track record just as much of receivers as developing tight ends to where they can be functional They could be, options for the quarterback. You're not going to find another Travis Kelce. I completely understand that. But you want to throw numbers at it because the Chiefs love to play out of 2 tight end sets. So as many of those guys you can get, I understand. Because of the Hollywood piece of this, you don't necessarily have to feel the same desire you had last year to go get a receiver. Because, again, similar to Charles Omenihu, you want to do right by Hollywood Brown. And this will be his second year in the system. And even when he played, a handful of snaps with Patrick Mahomes in December, you at least saw the glimpse that, okay, this can work if he's healthy and given a full year with the quarterback and the system and the coaching staff. So I tend to lean tight end, even though I'm not going to be upset if the Chiefs say, hey, we should take a wide receiver in the draft every year because we have Patrick Mahomes.
And they're expensive. I always view the premium positions that have gotten really cost prohibitive. I get more tempted to sign. Yeah, I get more tempted to draft because even a B level wide receiver.
Yeah.
The fact that T. Higgins, who's a very good wide receiver, is worth $30 million a year.
It's great, but that's kind of the Bengals' own. That's their own undoing in a sense. But yes, I get your point.
Better be careful. Drew thinks this plan will work. I think having no defense won't.
It can work if everybody stays healthy, Drew. And you win a lot of games 35-34.
It's like they're taking the Colts approach to go back to my hometown of Naptown. They're doing what the Colts did, where they paid Dallas Clark, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison,
so good. Brandon Stokely. It's amazing. God, they had a lineup.
They scored.
They scored a lot of points. Hey, I love it. Problem is you kind of need a Bob Sanders, and I don't know who the hell is their Bob Sanders.
Yeah, they need somebody to stay. Right now, they don't have a Bob Sanders on their roster.
We were talking about wide receiver on the Chiefs end. Give me a name, though, maybe. Do you have one to keep an eye on? We know locally everybody's going to mention Luther Burden. If he slides to 31, is he in play?
You cannot. I'm sorry, guys. He's so talented, but
I think it's a fun way to do it.
I think that is such a luxury pick. If you do that, that is such an excess of a pick. I like Jaden Higgins from Ohio State.
His name keeps coming up because he's super athletic.
Yeah,
right?
I like Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Let me see. Let me go down.
It's a little thin.
It gets a little thin. There's a guy, Jimmy Horn from Colorado State. I can't remember what. There's too many names now.
Yeah, you're good.
There's some guys that are like, hey, circuit. By the way, when you evaluate receivers, it gets really hard because you get annoyed by college quarterbacks.
Oh yeah,
you get so annoyed. You're like he got how many? By the way, Tree Harris. Hey, he had Jackson Dart. He had a good quarterback. Still a lot of production left on the bone, guys. Where it's just yep, that's a college quarterback. That's a college system. Hey man, he didn't read out the play. He got a little skittish. Got a little jittery. Torrey Horton from Colorado State. That's what I'm thinking of. Ran a 4.42, nice and lean, nice and tall. His quarterback stunk. Can I just say that?
So it's really hard to. This is also why wide receivers are easier finds late.
Yes.
Every year there's some 5th round guy like Puka Nacua who blows
was
up.
throwing the football to Puka Nacua? Because, sir,
you were wasting his talent.
You really were.
They were in the triple option.
This man's contract.
They were in the triple option with Calvin Johnson. Colleges don't care, man. They had Calvin Johnson. They were like, what if we ran pro sets? You're like,
right.
One
of the things, I cannot pronounce this young man's name, but the kid from Tennessee who,
Nico.
Yes, Nico. Yeah, I'm not going to.
Drew's got it. Drew, what's his name?
Nico Iamaleava.
See, that's terrible. Sorry, young man. I think one of the things I would have advised him on is, hey, man, I would go up to every wide receiver at Tennessee and say, hey, don't you want to make money in the NFL? Because I can at least put the ball in the window. I can at least put it on time.
That's where I'm surprised the Tennessee wide receiver didn't decide to transfer. Wait, now my quarterback's going to be a true freshman. Right. I'm out too. See ya.
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to get
I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, I'm not just trying to get paid this college season. I'm trying to advance my career too. So, yeah, man, these college quarterbacks. Sometimes you watch, you just go, my God. If I'm upset with Will Levis, I can't imagine what these college coaches do on a day-to-day basis with these quarterbacks.
Real quick, 30 seconds. Quarterback 1, 2, 3. Where are they going?
Cam should go to the Titans. Shador should go to the Giants.
Not Saints. Okay.
Ugh. And yeah, give the Saints more just mediocre quarterback play.
Jackson Dart. That's our guy.
There you go. Keep him home. Keep him in the South.
Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic. Appreciate you coming